Hey, what's going on, everybody? Look how fucking bright it is.
Yeah, what's up with this? You look pale as fuck.
That's okay. That's what we want. That's what we like. We like that. We want to look pale
All right,
as fuck.
so got people in there already.
Yeah.
Juan's in there.
Hey, everybody.
What's up, Juan?
Hey, everybody.
Celtic Angel's saying that her and her boyfriend saw some movies that you'd probably like.
Yeah, I actually am looking for recommendations because, for the matinee show on Sunday, for the past several weeks, we've been doing movies that got sent to us. Like Xanada sent us a whole bunch, and I think Louis had sent us a couple. And so we'd been doing those, and I was like, this week we don't have one, and so I was like, I want to do more horror movies, I feel like. So I've been looking for recommendations for horror movies, and anything that's on Shudder or Amazon Prime or Hulu or Tubi or anything like that I can watch, then that would be good. I have an idea for one that I want to do that I've seen like recommended on some other horror channels that's on Shudder, but we'll see. We'll see if we're in the mood for it. Or we might go the route where we can watch like an older one that we haven't reviewed. Like, for example, HBO Max has like some old like 80s Stephen King ones that we haven't done, like Silver Bullet and Thinner and stuff like that. I don't think we've done those. And also it has HBO Max has Onibaba, which I've actually been wanting to do. So like that Japanese ghost story movie. I did Kwaidan like on my own channel because HBO Max has that too, but I haven't done Onibaba yet. But yeah.
That light is changing back there.
I know it does that all the time. I don't know what the fuck its problem is. So it's like we're getting all kinds.
We gotta
get
new ones.
Yeah.
I wonder if Shein carries those.
Probably. They have like all the little neon shit and everything like that, like little neon cherries and whatnot.
We gotta do some shopping anyway there.
Yeah, I mean, I can't spend all my money there, but we've already spent like a shit ton.
Yeah.
Shit ton of money. I got like a whole bunch of new dresses. I got some new shoes. I got like some jewelry. I got some hair pieces. I got
shoes. Well,
I said that.
Shit ton of dresses.
Yeah.
What else?
You made a big order of like a bunch of tops and stuff too.
For you, yeah.
Like
there's like a vest in there that might fit me. We'll see when it comes. If not, it'll fit Jen. It's pretty cool. It's fur.
Yeah, it's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, it's fur.
And it looks like, I mean, you could wear it or I could wear it.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, it's some werewolf looking shit.
Murder Hornet said
crosses and shit on it.
Yeah, it's cool.
Gothic crosses and fucking fur collars around the fucking neck and around the arms. It's a short vest. Only half.
Yeah, it's like gray, right?
It's gray, yeah.
Yeah.
It's only the top half of your body.
It's pretty cool looking. Murder Hornet said my ex said the new Transformer movie is good. I mean, probably.
There's a new Transformer movie?
Yeah, I
didn't even know that.
I didn't know that either. Well, I haven't really been keeping
Michael Bay?
Well, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I haven't kept... really, the only Transformer movies that we saw... Didn't we see the Bumblebee one?
We saw Bumblebee, yeah. It was okay.
Which that was okay.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not real up on the lore or anything. And like I said, I'm not, and I've said this a million times, I'm not, like, usually, like, a big fan of big tentpole type movies, like big spectacle type movies. Some of them are good and like they're usually entertaining, but it's not really my thing. And usually I don't go out of my way to see them. It's just I think Tammy, because Tammy's in here, right? Yeah. Tammy sent me a message on Facebook earlier today, and she sent me the trailer for the Robert Eggers movie. He's remade Nosferatu.
Okay, yeah.
And it looks cool as shit.
When's that out?
I don't know. It's like, I forgot. Yeah, this the same guy that made The Witch and The Lighthouse and all that. Like, he's remade Nosferatu, and I'm like, man, he's the dude to do it. So, we'll see how that goes. You still haven't seen Shadow of the Vampire, have you? Mm. The one that's, like, about the making of Nosferatu?
No.
With Willem Dafoe and John Malkovich. Oh, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I watched it again, like, probably a year or two ago, and it was just as good as I remembered. But yeah, so, Celtic Angel 73 said, new season of Black Phone started yesterday. Wish there'd be another season of Mindhunter. Yeah, I think everybody is wishing there'd be a new season of Mindhunter, because that kicked ass. Yeah, Tammy said they just wrapped filming it, the Nosferatu. That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's what you said. It was like several hours ago, and I kind of forgot.
I don't remember what Mindhunter was.
It was the one that was on. It was the one with shit. What's his fucking name? All right. You know, Woody Harrelson. And that where it's kind of about like the start of like the FBI, like the serial killer unit. Yeah. That was like it was like really good. We watched it together. We really liked it. But yeah, everybody's kind of wondering. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
It was called Mindhunter. Is that what that was?
Yeah.
I thought that was called True Detective.
No, wait. Oh, wait. Maybe I am confusing it. Yeah, maybe that was True Detective.
Yeah.
With Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
I'm getting them confused. It's been a while since we've seen them.
I think.
And I'm getting old. My brain's turning into Swiss cheese.
True Detective Season 1.
Yeah. But we saw Mindhunter too. That was on... Is that on Netflix? I want to say it's on Netflix.
When am I seeing True Detective Season 1 again? Didn't somebody send us that? Don't I have that?
Yeah, I think we have it.
I think I have that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that got
sent. That might have been Louis, huh? I think Louis sent that.
Yeah, now I can't remember. It was a while back.
It was great.
I still got to keep watching Base Motel also, because Celtic Angel sent that.
Yeah.
Like I got all the way through season 1 and I'm in the middle of season 2.
Did you do a season 1 review?
Not yet.
Okay.
I got to do that.
You should do a season 1 review.
Yeah, I got to do that. I got to write a review for it.
Okay.
Before I forget. Yeah, Celtic Angel 73 said, "Yep, Netflix." Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
See, I was getting it confused with True Detective though, which was also good. But it was but Mindhunter was about the start of the serial killer like behavioral thing.
Jenny, that dress looks cute on you.
Thank you.
Yeah, she's got her little legs and she's barefoot. Got these little feetses right here.
My little feetses.
Yeah, here, show me.
I thought you didn't like.
She got that dress.
I thought you didn't like.
I like these feet now.
Oh, okay.
Show me this dress. She got this dress from Shein. And
wait a minute, my foot.
And I think we only paid like $6 for that thing. It's fucking awesome. We got another one to like it too, but it's a different pattern.
You always make me unfold my legs. It's got
some picture with some chick with guns on it, I think, doesn't it?
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
It says. What does it say?
Come back here.
It says "Come alive." The nighttime or something.
Turn sideways so you can see what it looks like. Put your arms down. There you go. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's real stretch to fit.
Okay, now I gotta.
Yeah.
Because I can't sit in this damn chair, and I gotta.
Yeah.
Put my legs up.
Yeah.
He is always making me unfold.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, Gramthars says True Detective season 1 was great. Season 2 and 3 not nearly as good. Yeah, I mean the first season was the best one.
Season 2 was okay though.
Yeah, I remember season 2 being okay.
Yeah.
Isabella says you might like Predestination if you haven't seen it. Ethan Hawke time travel. That sounds awfully familiar. Did I see that? I can't remember now. I do like Ethan Hawke though. I was watching a video earlier today. Like, just trying to, kind of narrow down my choices of, like, the movie that we were going to do for matinee. And I was like, there's this one guy. What the fuck is his name? Now I can't. This is terrible. I can't ever remember, like, anybody's channel names. But it's like, I watch him sometimes because he always does these good lists of, like, the 10 hidden gems on Shudder or 10 hidden gems on Tubi or whatever. And so he went on there and he had, like, a really good list, I thought, at least of the ones that I had seen. He picked out a few that I had really liked, like Lucky, and I think he had Superhost on there, which I don't think I watched. I watched the one that was just called Host, that was all about the laptop.
Got a pretty good crowd coming in, 14 to 18 people. If you guys hit the like button for us, please, that would really help us out. Welcome to the show. We are gonna usher in the weekend for you. It's Friday night.
God, I'm so fucking glad
You're
Friday.
Done fucking working.
Or working fucking or whatever it is that you do.
For us, it's like the same thing sometimes.
Well, don't say it like that.
Then we're not going out tonight, are we?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, so unless you really, really want to.
I don't really feel like it.
I
slept all day, basically.
I don't really feel like it either.
The fucking weather was terrible. It was like a sauna outside. It was fucking dark and hot.
Tell me about it.
I got up and said, man, I'm going to go for a ride. Went outside and went, ooh.
Never mind.
Ooh. It was overcast and it was raining. It rained here a couple times, but it was mostly just raining all around me, and it was fucking like a sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a steam bath out there.
Well, I was worried because, like, yesterday, I leave work at 4:30 because I work from 7:30 to 4:30. So I leave at 4:30, and literally 2 minutes after I left work, the fucking bottom fell out.
Yeah.
And it was like that the entire hour home. And it was like some of the journey was like total whiteout. Like I could barely see like the lines of the road, and I was like, man, this sucks so hard. And it was just like, and just the whole way home, and I'm just like, please stop. It's like, give me a fucking break. So then today, it's about 4:00, and I'm thinking, and I see my little weather thing on my computer being like thunderstorm, and I'm like, me. I'm like, is this really gonna happen again? And then I heard it, like, and I heard the rain like beating on the side of the building, and I was like, God damn it, I have to drive home in that shit again. But it's, you know, because it's very scary driving all that way, like with all these stupid people down here that can't drive. And but thankfully it had stopped by the time I left, and it didn't really. It just sprinkled a little bit, like, on the way home. But, yeah, it is hot as balls.
Yeah, it's hot and wet.
Blech.
Yeah, I was like, walked out, fucking, as soon as that shit hit me, I was like, oh, I'm not putting my armor on. Fucking
it just wears you out.
Yeah.
Just, like, walking outside, you're just like, ugh. It just makes you so tired. So it drains all your energy.
I had chores to do in the house. I'm marinating a bunch of pork downstairs.
Oh, are you? You didn't tell me about that.
Yeah, it's in Desi yogurt.
Yeah.
With some of that new garam masala, and some turmeric, and some Kashmiri chili, and it's just in there marinated. Cubes of that pork tenderloin.
Yummy.
Yeah, and I don't think they eat pork in India, but I don't give a fuck. I'm not in India. All right, that's the meat that I got. That's the protein I'm going with. I've done it before.
Yeah, we'll just do it Indian
It's fucking
style.
good.
Yeah, it's good.
Real good. I'll just make like a pork tenderloin curry.
Yeah, it's not like super authentic, but
No.
it's good anyway.
I've had some Indians say, nah, we'd eat that probably.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not that picky.
Yeah, the Muslims won't eat it. They got Muslims down there, Mughals and shit.
Right, but...
But an Indian would... They're not... That's not a real common animal, I don't think, there. But they'd eat it.
Can we talk about what you made the other day that I had for dinner today? The ginger
Oh, that one, yeah,
chicken.
yeah. That was a Pakistani mix.
That's also very delicious. Yeah. That was very delicious. Very gingery.
I went to Spice Land.
When did you go to Spice Land?
A couple days ago.
Oh, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, that's where I got all that stuff.
Oh, I didn't know you had all that stuff.
Yeah, went to Spice Land.
We haven't been to Spice Land in a long time.
It's an Indian Pakistani grocery store. You can look at it. You know, it'll come up on a Google search. Spice Land.
Yeah, we used to go all the time.
Right outside Orlando. What was the...
It's in Lake Mary, isn't it?
Mary.
Is it in Lake Mary?
I think it's Lake Mary. It'll come up. And it's got a real nice staff. The woman that works there flirting with me and Jenny constantly.
Nikki, her name is.
Yeah, Nikki. Nikki trying to be my second wife or third wife or fourth wife or whatever. It's fucking funny, man.
They always like talking about...
She loves Jenny.
Yeah, she does.
And then all the customers there are real nice. They can't believe that, man, white people are buying up Indian and Pakistani food. Like, yeah.
And man, if you ask them for recipe advice, they will absolutely like fucking...
I'll be going.
They'll give you all their secrets.
I have my basket. I'll be going through stuff, and there'll be some Indian girl. Do you need help? I said, no, I know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing? Yeah, I'm a cook. I cook this. You can cook this. And they're like, wow. Yeah.
They must think that's pretty neat.
Yeah. Caucasians don't fucking bother to learn how to cook it, but she'll ask me, what are you cooking, what recipe, and she's looking, because okay, she goes, why are you buying this? Like, she was trying to bag on me for buying garam masala, and I said, well, it's pre-mixed, and she goes, you should be mixing your own.
Well, yeah.
And I said, well, it's like, I said, that could be a family recipes, you know what I mean, and I just like to have the decision made for me already. She goes, but they're all different, and I said, yeah. They're all different, but I don't. So she's just trying to fucking lever me into like, you don't know what I know. You don't have my family's recipes and shit. But that's just the way cooks are.
Well, yeah, it's a bitch game.
Yeah, it's a bit. She was showing her bitch game on that one. It's like, okay, I got you.
But yeah,
they're good restaurants. Not restaurants. Good markets.
Yeah, they got everything.
You can get a big old pack of Kashmiri chili. It's like 2 pounds of the shit for like $6-7. The spices are cheap.
It's like way cheaper to get spices
cheap.
there than at the grocery store.
Get a damn 10-pound bag of fucking turmeric.
Yeah, because everything comes in big giant bags.
Big giant fucking bags.
Which is awesome. So it's like, so it's like they don't have maybe, stuff that wouldn't necessarily be used in, Indian or Asian cooking or whatever, but they have like an amazing amount of spices and they sell them like really cheap. Because, if you go in the grocery store, like it's like, oh, I want a little thing of tarragon or something like that, and it's like $7 for like a tiny little thing like that. But yeah, there, if you pay $7, you're going to get a big fucking pound bag of it, or like a 5-pound bag or something like that.
Yeah, and, North Americans, our version of fucking exotic, some exotic kind of form might be Mexican food, like real Mexican food. Well, the Indians and the Pakistanis, their version of Mexican food, their exotic foreign food is Indonesian food. So they got all those damn Indonesian cans and Thai and Indonesian stuff. Big cans that's about the size of a tuna can, full of ginger garlic spice paste for making Thai curry. You can get that there. It was only like a couple bucks per can. You can get that same spice mix in a glass jar that's about that big. It looks like a can of makeup or something. Then at Publix, and it's 1/3 of what's in that can, and it's still $7.
Yeah.
So they're ripping you off.
It's a specialty item.
Specialty item. Nah, just go where they eat that shit like nothing. That's just ketchup for them. You know what I mean? You get that thing in a big old can for like $3. If you want foreign foods, go to a foreign market.
Well, yeah, because that's where they're gonna go and shop.
Yeah, that's where they're going.
And it's like they don't. Well, yeah, because if you're just going to a grocery, if you're just going to a regular grocery store, like I said, sometimes they'll have that stuff, but it's not a big seller. Yeah. It's a specialty item, so they're gonna get like a premium for it, obviously. Gramthars says I usually get goat vindaloo at Indian places. Yummy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever had goat vindaloo, but I've had like a goat curry that they used to have at what was that other Indian restaurant that we used to go to before we found Memories of India? What the hell was the name of that place? Shit, now I can't remember.
I forgot
too. Yeah. But they had like a small.
They had goat there.
Yeah, they had goat there.
If you guys never had goat, it's good. It's
sometimes they have it at Fifth Element too.
Yeah.
But it depends on the day.
It's kind of like lamb, but it's not as gamey as lamb.
I really like lamb though. I know a lot of people don't.
Yeah, to me it's a mixed bag.
A lot of Americans don't like it. And it's like it's weird because if you go in like just a regular ass grocery store, it's like sometimes they'll have like a couple packets of lamb chops or something like that, but that's about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like obviously they have it at butchers and stuff, but it's kind of hard to get hold of. But I don't know. I really like lamb.
Yeah.
And honestly, Memories of India makes the best lamb korma ever.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's so good that it's like every time I go there, I always, because they have an extensive menu, and I'm always just kind of like, oh, I should get something else, like something I haven't had before. But the pull of the lamb korma is just too strong.
It's good, yeah. The lamb korma does have its own pull.
It does. Well, I think I usually get that too because, I mean, most of the dishes that they have, like, you make them, and you can make them better than they can make it.
Yeah.
But we don't, like I said, we don't usually buy lamb, so we don't make lamb korma. So I guess that's why I get it there. Because, like, I wouldn't get, like, sag paneer or something like that. Yeah. Because I can't imagine that it's better than yours. Yeah. Because,
I can make that. That's no big deal. I made sag paneer without sag. In other words, there was no spinach.
Yeah.
I used sweet potato leaves from the garden. It was fucking just as good.
Yeah, it was just the same.
Same.
Yeah.
Same. A lot cheaper. Got sweet potatoes growing out there and just pull some leaves off of that.
Yeah, and it tastes like almost exactly like spinach.
Made it into spinach. Made it into Indian spinach sag. It was actually, what is it? Sag palak, which had chicken in it. It didn't have paneer.
Yeah, because I think they also have something called palak paneer.
Palak paneer, that's chicken and cheese.
I think. Yeah, I love paneer. I don't know why. There's just something about it that's
aloo matar. Really... Aloo matar. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Fucking peas and potatoes.
But there's just something, and actually Fifth Element, which is a place where we go, which kind of has a like a buffet style thing, like a small buffet. They have every now and then they make, it's like tikka masala, but it's that like gravy, but it's paneer instead of chicken, and it's so fucking good. It's like they don't have it all the time.
Gramthars asking about why saffron's so expensive. I don't know. It must be kind of rare, and they can't grow enough of it. It's in high demand. They got fake saffron. They use that a lot, like fake saffron flavorings. I think it mostly just makes shit kind of yellow.
I don't know if I've ever had saffron. I don't even know what it tastes like, to be honest with you.
It's like truffles. Real truffles are fucking super expensive. But then you can get fucking truffle oils, truffle flavored oils. You know what I mean? They taste good, but there's no truffle in that.
Yeah, well, I mean, anytime you have a premium thing like that costs all that money, you're gonna get like knockoffs and stuff. And to be honest, most people, unless they have like a super snooty palate, are not gonna be able to tell the difference. Yeah. I'm sure I wouldn't be able to tell the difference.
Okay, so if you guys want to cover any kind of subjects, you can just drop them down into the comment section. If not, we're just gonna freewheel this. I'm gonna get some ice. Be back in a second.
That's what we do, freewheel.
Yeah.
Celtic Angel 73, and I wrote this down, by the way. Idea for a show topic: Diane Downs. She's the woman who shot her 3 kids in 1983. I kind of remember that, actually. There was a made-for-TV movie about it starring Farrah Fawcett in 1989. Yeah, I think I saw that movie a long time ago. So yeah, I wrote that down, and it just said Anne Rule wrote a book about it too. So Camp Guy said Audrey Marie Hilly is another really freaky as hell case with a conniving woman at the middle of it. She's from Alabama too. Well, shit. Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna have to. I wrote them down, so I'm gonna have to put that in the next poll and see how that shakes out. But yeah. So, but right before the show, I wanted to tell you this because this is something we could discuss. Right before the show, I was watching a video. Because I tell you what, anytime I'm on YouTube and, somebody recommends yet another video about, analyzing The Shining, I'm going to watch that shit.
All right.
Because that's just how I do. So this one guy, his channel, I think, is called Archivio Kubrick, I think. So he just, talks extensively. He sounds, like Indian or something. But he talks extensively about Stanley Kubrick movies. And he had noticed something in The Shining that he didn't think anybody had ever noticed before. And I watched it, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I never did notice that before. He said I couldn't find anybody else talking about this. And it was really interesting. There are several instances in The Shining where Jack Nicholson looks directly at the camera. And it's usually only for a frame or two, but it looks very deliberate. And he showed all these examples of him doing it, and I was like, I'll be fucking damned. And I was like, that's gotta be on purpose, because normally actors, you wouldn't look at the camera, they know better than to do that. And he showed a clip too of there was he's on the Blu-ray, he's there's a documentary about the making of, and there's a scene where Stanley Kubrick is down on the floor where he was filming the scene where Jack Nicholson was trying to begging Wendy to let him out of the dry storage. Yeah. He's banging on the door. And he says to Jack Nicholson, he says, is there any way you could look down at the camera while you're doing that, just for a second? So he did do that very deliberately, and like I said, the guy had and he slow-moed it and everything like that, and there's a really lot of instances in there where Jack Nicholson is looking right at the camera for a second or two. He's just glancing at it. Yeah. And so they were wondering, and then I was reading the comments after, and everyone was kind of speculating about why that might be.
What are the theories?
Theory 1, that
I had a theory already.
Well, I had a theory too, and actually he mentioned it.
All right.
But the first thing he mentioned, he's
trying to maybe.
Well, Stanley Kubrick, he said, was real into subliminal images, and he's and there's a lot of that stuff going on in The Shining, to make you unsettled. And he's that might be one of the things that he's doing. He wanted
breaking that fourth wall.
Yeah, he wanted him to look at the camera, but not make it super obvious. Yeah. But you would know that something was wrong, or he was somehow looking at you threatening towards you, the viewer, which I kind of like that.
Trying to pull you into the scene.
Yeah,
you're there.
Which I kind of like that idea too. Yeah. Also, the first thing I thought of when he was putting it all together and I noticed it was that I thought it was kind of making a statement about whatever it was that was haunting the Overlook was like the camera, and Jack knew that it was there, and so he kept like glancing at it like it was watching him.
Yeah, like you're the Overlook.
Yeah.
You're the ghost.
That was what I thought of. Yeah. But I mean, it could be like the subliminal thing too. So it's like so the audience would be like unsettled without really knowing why.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and so those were like the two main theories.
Unsettling you by he looks at you as if he sees you and is pulling you into the situation with him through the screen. Like he looks at you for your reaction to what's going on.
Yeah.
Like you're there. But it would have to be, like you said, fast.
It is fast. Like I said, he usually had to slow it down, and it was just like, it's seriously like 2 or 3 frames.
Yeah.
But he was very deliberately like looking right at the camera.
Because if you look at it too long, it would spoil it. Because it would people would go, that's bad acting. But if it was real fast, it would be like you said, it'd be like subliminal. Yeah. You felt that you're there, like you were there. He looked at me, so I'm there with them. Yeah. But you wouldn't recognize what made you feel unsure about, or unsettled, because it didn't happen long enough for you to recognize that he did look at you.
Yeah, because I didn't notice it. Yeah, for sure. Right. And I've seen that movie like probably 100 times.
Kubrick, man. Kubrick being Kubrick. I mean, he's a master, of what he's doing, and all of his movies are masterpieces. 2001 is a masterpiece. All kinds of weird shit happens in 2001. Now I know what happened. I read the book and then I saw 2010. If you don't see 2010, 2001 leaves you baffled. But no, it makes perfect sense once you understand what happened in 2010 and what's happening. But that movie was way ahead of its time. Basically about AI and transhumanism, and what do they call it? Singularity. What do they call it when computers become fucking sentient?
Didn't you just say it? The singularity.
Is it singularity? Is that what it's called? I forgot.
I'm not entirely sure now.
And then they're talk about extraterrestrial life, which would be transhuman. It wouldn't be biological. And that unsettled a lot of people back then, because that was too much of a futuristic idea. For most people, aliens were little green men from Mars. They were going to be human-like, flying ships. And the extraterrestrial in 2001 had gone beyond biology. It was just the only physical form it needed was just a monolith, and the monolith could do anything. It was the ultimate expression of technology and life. It was godlike, basically. Seeding the galaxy or the universe with life as it went, and watching them grow. And there was a lot of them. And it wasn't kind of like a single creature per se, just kind of a supreme intelligence. It's just a wild story, way ahead of its time. But they were talking to, Kubrick is talking to Arthur C. Clarke and other people, real scientists. It's a very scientific movie. I mean, even the space sequences are super accurate. There's no sound. They'll just play music, because there's no sound in space, and just it was an awesome flick. And what happened with Hal? Why Hal malfunctioned? He didn't really malfunction. Just they asked him to lie, and he couldn't lie. He had to continue the mission. So, I don't want to spoil it if you guys haven't seen 2010, but it's answered in 2010 why Hal did what it did. But also a great flick, and people don't pick that one apart as much as The Shining.
I mean, people do, but I feel like 2001 is more cerebral, so it's perhaps not as approachable.
It's long too,
as The Shining. Whereas I feel like The Shining, you don't have to like get into the crazy conspiracy theories. You can just watch it as like a scary horror movie. Yeah. Whereas 2001, I mean, you really have to kind of like invest and experience it. You know what I mean?
And it's dry.
It's not just a casual watch.
It's dry and clinical, because it's supposed to be. Because you're dealing with like the best of mankind, and they're scientific motherfuckers. They're not really emotional. And they're doing shit that's off-world. And corporations and stuff are involved. And when you're dealing with Bowman and the crew, they're basically, if you read the book, they're basically human perfection. They're perfect in every way. Those guys, they were selected for that mission. Everything about them was perfect in their training and their reactions and their thinking. You know, they were fucking basically geniuses, and they were good at fucking space capsules and fucking outthinking things, but they couldn't outthink that computer. And that's kind of like the uncomfortable things. That computer, the HAL 9000 computer, was superior to them and sacrificed them because it was kind of told to. Because it was telling the truth. They were saying, why is all this happening? He says, this can only be accounted for by human error. And it was telling the truth. It wasn't lying. It was killing people because of human error. They told it to lie. And a computer can't lie. You know. So I just thought it was a great flick. And what happens to the characters, what happened to Bowman, and what happened to fucking Hal is covered in the movie, in 2010 movie. And there's a book too. And the movie's good. People have forgotten about 2010. Had Roy Scheider in it? Scheider. Yeah. A good flick. Not as good as 2001. He has a different director. But it's true to 2001. It's true to the story. I recommend it. Good flick.
Yeah, Camp Guy is talking about Woody Allen breaking the fourth wall all the time in his comedies. And as a matter of fact, the guy that made the video about The Shining, he was showing examples. He's like, people in movies like break the fourth wall all the time, but usually it's done like very, very deliberately. And he did show an example of like a Woody Allen movie where Woody Allen was like talking to the camera and like talking to the audience. And then he showed bits of like Home Alone where the kid like looks at the camera and, puts his hands on the side of his face or whatever, Macaulay Culkin. And I think he showed parts of like The Strangers where the guy like turns his head and like winks at the audience, shit like that. So it's like, he's like, but the thing that Kubrick is doing in The Shining, that Jack Nicholson is doing in The Shining, is like, this is not like that. It's like, you can tell. He's like, most of the time, he's like, I seriously don't think anybody else ever noticed it, and I for sure didn't notice it. And most of the time, you had to like slow it down. Like, I didn't even really notice it when he played the scene fast. But then when he slowed it down, you'd be like, oh yeah, holy shit, look at that. Like, there was like a frame or two where he actually did like look right at the camera. And so, like I said, if it had been too deliberate, then people would... Because like I said, Kubrick used a lot of shit in The Shining that would deliberately like unsettle people. I mean, I think pretty much everybody knows that the Overlook Hotel, which was built entirely as a set, at least the inside, like the outside they used a real hotel, but the inside they built it, and the geography of it, the architecture of it is impossible. Yeah. People have made floor plans of the Overlook and stuff, and it doesn't make any sense, and he did that on purpose. Like, he did everything that he could just to subliminally make you uncomfortable, like, without knowing why you were uncomfortable.
Camp Guy's talking about Hal had secret orders that the crew couldn't know. Yeah, but that was basically tantamount to asking him to lie, because he had to conceal the true nature of the mission that they were on, because Bowman and the other crewmen didn't know what the mission was. They thought it was just had something to do with Jupiter. They didn't know that they were going to see where that message, the signal that got sent from the monolith on the moon, it was getting sent somewhere outside the orbit of Jupiter. That's where they were going. And Hal suspected that the crew was finding out what the mission was. And I remember exactly what happened. Hal started to kind of fake malfunctions to fool them into going outside the craft and killing them. Because he wasn't allowed to let them know what the mission was, and they were finding it out. And then they also said, we're going to have to turn the computer off. And after that, Hal's like, oh shit, no, they're fucking... Because Hal was instructed that he was basically in charge of the mission, really. Because he had the greatest chances of completing the mission more than the humans. Because he was better than them in a lot of ways for this mission. So he ended up wiping the crew out so he could continue the mission, and that's covered in the second movie. It's great and it had to do. Somebody I remember who it was. I think Ben was saying it had something to do with Jupiter becoming a second sun. Yeah, they were going to turn the monolith aliens There's more than one monolith. There was a bunch of them. They were going to turn Jupiter into a small sun because of Europa. There was life on Europa, and they wanted it to accelerate the life and make it a warmer, better place for intelligent life. Because these monoliths, if you go back to the beginning of 2001, the monolith was looking for and trying to help create sentient life. It had chosen Australopithecus to become a sentient human life form.
It's like, yeah, they'll do.
Yeah. In the book, the monolith appears and scans them all, and then takes over their minds and puts them through all these exercises and tests how smart they were, makes them throw rocks and hit targets, exercises their minds, tries to see if they can solve puzzles, and they don't know what the hell's going on. And it improved them in a way. And when it left, they went out and started to fight for survival, to kill the animals that were eating up all their food. And they did it with bones and weapons. And later on, they started killing other enemy tribes. In the book, one of them realizes that you could use a bone to kill a jaguar, and then put the head of the jaguar on the end of the bone, and you can make that jaguar kill again, which blew his mind. Okay, which that was his version of technology. Then eventually, in the movie, they throw the bone in the air and it spins, and then it evolves and transforms into a nuclear weapons platform that's orbiting the Earth. That the bone led to space travel, and it was weaponry made space
which
travel.
It did.
That was part of the weaponry is what brought you into space. V1 rocket, V2 rocket. It's all war technology. Accelerated mankind. And it accelerated mankind in the pre-human phase. It was just bones and eating enemies, because the enemies were eating all the plants. So motherfuckers eating all the plants. So
don't eat my kale.
Yeah, the monolith said, become meat eaters and eat your enemies. Eat them fucking animals that are eating up all the plants. You're like these tapir looking things, like a pig.
Dave is here.
Yeah.
Hey Dave, what's up? We're probably staying in tonight, I'd imagine. Yeah. But I'm sure you're probably
we got tomorrow if we want to go out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, because like I said, I'm kind of worn out.
Yeah.
You got up at 5 also this morning.
Yeah.
Sometimes he gets up same time as me, sometimes not. But you probably had a nap in the day.
Yeah.
And I did not. But you said you didn't really want to go out today because it was too hot.
I feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah, Dave said, on my way home from getting hair did. Okay. I'm going to Mannequins. Get his hair did.
No way.
That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Last time I went to Mannequins, I tried to fight two dudes that were like 6'1". Remember them?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, they were kind of
seems like what. Jen. Well, yeah, it just seems like we always there's always a troublemaker.
I staged the incident. I backed up into him and spilled like whoa. And I started I started trying to fight him, and that got them kicked out. And they were like, "We're gonna get you, motherfucker!" So you bring that shit on. But man, I keep going down there having to fight all these dudes. Eventually, one of them's gonna kill me. Then I'm gonna run into a motherfucker that's crazier than me.
That's what I mean. Well, it's like I mean that's why it's a fun place, but it's just always like
you always might have to fucking do something.
Right. Because there's just so many there's a lot of cool people there, but then there's just a large percentage of douchebags also. And you always have to fucking deal with these stupid douchebags.
Yeah. They don't understand the basic rules.
That don't know how to behave.
They don't know how to behave. They don't know the basic rules. And then I'm like,
God, am I gonna have to punch another motherfucker? God,
when girls are out there dancing, don't make a big deal out of leering over them and fucking, get away from them. Just enjoy from a distance. You know what I mean? It's fucking knock it the fuck off.
Yeah, I mean, did they not learn the most basic fucking?
Not even the most basic.
Because it's like, man, they'll get all up in your shit.
This ain't Pakistan.
Well, the weird thing about this is I don't know why this irritates me so much, but I mean, it's called Mannequins, so they have a lot of obviously mannequins around the place.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of those kind of real dolls or those realistic looking sex dolls. They have one that's laying on the bar. And I swear to God, so many people, these drunk, basic-ass people come in, and they're just ooh, a butt! And they're just oh, take a picture of me hitting the butt! And
it's mostly girls.
And I'm just
yeah. Yeah, it's done, and it's mostly girls doing it.
Yeah, a fake butt. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, Dave said lots of people going to Tampa for, that's right, the Assemblage 23 show is tonight. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of people are going to that. Yeah, Dimitri was selling tickets to that last Friday.
Yeah.
I like them. I'm not like, I don't like them enough to like pay to see them though. You know what I mean?
What's happening tomorrow, Dave?
What, at Mannequins?
No,
it's What the Fuck Saturdays.
No, at Barbarella's.
It's 80s like
80s
always. Yeah.
You want to go to that maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I like Barbarella
It's
Saturdays.
chilled out, yeah.
Like I said, we took Sophie to Mannequins.
Yeah.
And that was the night that dude tackled me. So that was special. So she wasn't super into that, but we took her to Barbarella on Saturday night and she loved that.
Yeah.
Because that's like a bunch of, it's not all old fuckers, but it's a lot of old fuckers, or a lot of people that have known each other for a long time.
Yeah, it's all scene people.
And it's all people that kind of know each other, and they're just all there. They're like, look, we just like post-punk and like 80s new wave. We just want to dance and hang out.
Yeah,
It's like it's very drama-free, which is nice.
It's late 20s to 50s.
Yeah. Or 60s, actually, even. There's a couple that are creeping into their 60s.
Yeah, some people are action. But they've just been around forever.
It's a very chill vibe.
Yeah.
It's a very chill vibe, and I like it. Because you can just go, and everybody has their own thing going on, and you can just go and dance to the music, and it's like no one's going to fuck with you, no one's going to run into you, no one's going to grope you, no one's going to leer at you or stare at you or anything.
The girls can wear whatever they want, as scantily as they want.
And everyone's just like, what else?
Your ass can be hanging out the bottom, and fucking everybody's like, yeah. You're around a mature audience. They're not going to be fucking with you.
That's what I mean. That's why I'm not really into... And, like, honestly, at Mannequins, like, those people are way old enough to know better.
Yeah.
But they just act an ass, like, when they go in there, and I don't know. Like, they act like they've never been out in public before. I don't really...
I think a lot of them... well, maybe Dave could fucking say something about it. I think they're not well versed in the club culture. Bars, maybe. Jock bars.
That's what I mean. It's a whole different vibe. Like going to like some jock bar, or sports bar, or something like that. That shit maybe flies in there. I wouldn't know. I don't go to those. But
well, they're more like sports bars. Nothing really flies in there because they're not really. They just act in an ass. It's kind of like they're not doing anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They misbehave. I think.
I mean, they can't do a single thing without being obnoxious. It's befuddling.
Well, when they get into a real club, I think they feel liberated or something, so they think that they can misbehave.
But they don't really know.
They don't really know what
the parameters of that are.
They don't have the. I don't think they have the. They don't have the proper fucking window of operation. You know what I mean? They don't. What do they call it? The Overton window. They don't know what's acceptable. You know. They don't know the culture.
Well, I mean, I kind of feel like most places, it's not a good idea to just go up and like start grinding on random chicks.
Yeah. They do that shit in sports bars, though.
Like I said, maybe they do that there, and maybe although I feel like some chicks in there are probably like, hey, get the fuck off.
Well, it could be that they see some chick, she's dressed differently, you know what I mean, or she's wearing something that's kind of revealing. Oh, she's a hoe, I can do it.
Well, see, I think that's the problem, and that's something. I think it's not as bad as it used to be, but I think that is a very common misperception that normies have about goth chicks, is that because they look weird, or sometimes they're wearing like skimpy clothing or something, and it doesn't even have to be skimpy clothing, but it's just they're like, they must be freaky, so I can do whatever the fuck I want to them.
Well, okay, here's probably a better example, because I never really think about it much. Trying to wrap my head around it now. They really went fucking crazy when Defense showed up. Got this girl named Defense Mechanism. And she's famous.
In the scene.
She's famous. She has these fantastic outfits. I'll fucking dig up some video of Defense. She looks like something from another planet. And she'll have like LED fans, and she'll be doing fan dances, and I mean, you basically have to hire her to come to parties and events. She'll do things up on stage with rock stars and shit. She's the real thing. She's got fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of outfits. Some of them have stilts, don't they? Where she
Yeah,
comes
that's
in
right. Yeah.
She comes in, she's like 8 feet tall.
Because didn't she did a couple shows at Escape, I think, and she had the stilts and everything.
Yeah, and she can dance. Her face is all pierced, got big spikes coming out of her fucking mouth and shit. I'll try to find her. There's a picture's worth 1,000 words. But anyway, she came.
Yeah, Mannequin. They hired Big Tom, not this Tom, but Big Tom, the guy that owns Mannequins. He hired her for a show, like for a night, a few months ago.
Yeah.
And so she came.
She showed up, and she's got to have bodyguards to keep
the people
assholes
off
of her because they're going to want to get right up on it and look at it and become a part of the show, not realizing that she's a paid performer. All right, and they've never seen anything like that. They don't know how to act.
I just, like I said, I kind of feel like in this day and age, you'd think that people would like have seen it all by now, but they all just seem like rubes.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, they're like rubes. Yeah.
I mean, maybe because it's Florida. I don't really know. Dave says, I've told them there, if they're wearing trucker hats or sports shirts, charge them $20 instead of letting them in for nothing. Yeah, I kind of feel like there should be some disincentive. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, at least, like, charge them a cover charge or something like that. Like, if they're not going to do it. I mean, that's the way they could have a dress code, is they could say, well, we don't have technically a dress code. You can come in if you're dressed like a normie, but you got to pay. And, like, if you're not, you don't have to pay. You know? Like if you got the clothes on, but
for some reason I don't have a connection.
Yeah, you've been losing your connection.
Losing my connections all the time.
Losing my connection.
Says I'm connected, but okay, it's starting to work. Facebook wasn't working.
Well, Facebook's been glitchy today. Not for me. Like I wasn't on there much, but I saw some other people complaining about it. So they have things every now and then, like people's photos appearing and disappearing and whatnot, messages appearing and disappearing, shit like that. But yeah, it's funny because I had actually forgotten about that shit show the last time we went to Mannequin. Yeah. I guess just because that time that I got tackled and you like had that dude in a headlock or whatever, it's like that was kind of like the high bar. So it's like everything that's not quite that, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like, oh yeah,
I was
more of the same.
I was kind of like fucking questioning myself after that, like maybe I had overreacted. And you were like, no, they deserved it.
No,
like,
I told you.
To feel guilty about it.
Well, like you didn't see some of the shit because I think you went out back, like onto the patio, which I don't like to go out on the patio because it's fucking hot out there. So, but sometimes he'll go out there and see what's going on because sometimes there's a DJ out there or whatever. So I was in there dancing, and these dudes. The irritating thing about them is that they don't do anything. Well, some of them don't, but some of them don't do anything super overt. But you know that you can just tell that they're, like, causing trouble. They're, like, taking up way too much room. They're dancing, like, way too close to people. They're kind of, like, making fun of people. Like, they're kind of, like, doing, you know what I mean? They're, like, mocking the other people dancing. And it's just kind of, like, they're just, like, like I said, they're taking up too much room. It's not a big dance floor. So it's, like, you kind of have to just go and find your spot and just kind of stay in that spot. You know what I mean? And, like, do your thing in that spot and not fucking fling yourself all over the fucking shit. But apparently a lot of people don't get that memo and they think they're just gonna like fucking, gallivant all over the fucking place. And they're gonna piss people off. And, one of these days, me or Tom are gonna punch one of the motherfuckers in the face.
That's defense. That's defense mechanism. And she's actually... It's actually kind of just... She's not all that wild in that one.
That's a good outfit, though.
Yeah. See if I can find... Okay. See if I can find another. This one's pretty wild.
Yeah, she's got great outfits.
Yeah.
Didn't she used to be roommates with, what's her name?
Yeah, with Crystal.
Crystal, yeah, that's right.
She's also friends with Aleta.
They're talking about, Camp Guy talking about collecting Stephen King books. She always reminded me a little bit of, the fuck am I thinking of? Lena Lovitch?
I don't know who that is.
Am I thinking of Lena Lovitch? You know who Lena Lovitch is. She looks kind of like her. She looks kind of like her. I used to have those contact lenses.
Yeah.
I think they ripped though, or I lost them or something. Ooh, you made my shit go all dark.
Did it?
Yeah, look. Look what you did.
How'd that happen?
Because you keep putting stuff in the camera.
Oh, look at this. This is a great outfit. Like something out of Guar.
That's right. She had those big, like, tall things.
Big, tall things and fucking
Because, like I said, I
fire.
remember her doing some shows at Escape.
Yeah.
And she had those big, tall things. Right? She did some shows there.
Yeah.
Because they had the stage and everything.
Yeah.
It's funny because when she came to Mannequins, I was surprised because we hadn't seen her in a while. And I was like, holy shit, she's still around. But yeah, she does all that. So yeah, so she came there and, you know, they don't really... Mannequins has, like, a little bit... They don't really have a stage, per se. They have, like, a little area that's raised, but it has a stripper pole on it. So, of course, all the normies are like, oh, a stripper pole! And they have to go and, like, do... You know what I mean?
Woo!
Woo! Yeah, I'm just like,
yeah,
oh,
hold
God.
my purse! Woo!
Oh,
Put the
God.
shoes in the center.
Right.
Fucking all kind of weird shit.
And all that kind of shit. It's just like every time we're like, oh my God, do they have like a fucking...
They're going to take their shoes off. Oh, they're going to put their... They're going to
put
all
their purses in the middle of the circle.
Yeah, I've driven them off the dance floor.
Jen
Jen can tell stories. I've driven them off the dance floor. Remember the girls?
God, I hate when
about
they
8 of them
fucking
were
do.
acting a fool. I put up one for a little bit, and all of a sudden I said, "Fuck it, they're getting out of here. I'm getting them out of here." I just started
just
fucking
like
grabbing one of them, start dirty dancing and shit, just chased them all off. Okay, get the fuck out of here. Went back to dancing.
Yeah.
They left.
Well, the thing about it is that,
They were
look,
just acting
like I
fool.
said, the dance floor is very small. If you're not going to dance, or if you're just going to stand there, like...
They're just standing out there jumping
Like,
up
they're
and
just
down.
kind of standing there doing that. It's just like,
Yeah.
fucking move it. Like, people actually want to dance. Go stand
Yeah.
somewhere else and do that stupid shit.
Most of them were just
You're in the way.
standing in the dance floor, jumping up and down, with their purses on the floor. Which you don't fucking do that. All right.
Well, here's
and then they had one of them that was just running around, hopping like a bunny and
what was
bouncing
that
into
about?
She was the one that made me go like, I'm getting him out of here.
I know. I was like, oh my God, am I
Because
going to
all
have
she
to
would do
punch
is
this
just
girl?
hop up and down like a bunny and run into people.
Yeah, like why?
And that went on for about 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm getting them out of here. Time for them to go. They go to the next club.
Yeah, go somewhere else where
somewhere
people
else
might
with
think
that
that shit is cute. I don't think that shit is cute. I think it's super obnoxious.
One goes, she looks amazing. Yeah. Because she's an alien. Yeah. Yeah, look, we're telling these stories sometimes. I have to dig up photographs to show to people so you understand the scope of what we're talking about. I'm not talking about little 2-bit shit and like little 2-bit people like us. We're like in this little studio. We look 2-bit on this one. No,
we
man,
don't.
We're
classy
we're
as
classy
shit.
as fuck, but when we're like dressed up and some of these huge events that you go to, it's like that. It's like that. And some of the people that we know, because, you know, of Jen's fucking companies that we're running and everything, we're fucking doing album covers for people and photographs and posters. So they're kind of clients of ours, a lot of them. So we know them.
And the thing about, what was that?
And all the club owners and people that throw the DJs and everything, going all the way down into Tampa.
Yeah, I do a lot of work for Tampa.
And so Jen's probably known him for 20 years. I've known him for probably fucking 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, that's the thing too. That's another thing that kind of like that I always liked about the goth scene in general was that pretty much everybody is like has some kind of creative endeavor.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty much everybody we know is a musician or an artist, or they make clothes, or they make jewelry, or something. Like they do some kind of like creative thing.
Yeah. But Mannequins, my friend owns it, and fucking when Julian that's her real name. Her real name is Julian. She showed up. She's on Instagram. Defense Mechanism, DEFENZ.
Yeah, and mechanism.
Mechanism.
Like, she spells mechanism like normal.
Yeah, and so she shows up to fucking add some class to the joint, and they don't know what to fucking do. They all want to get up and dance right on her, and she has a whole security crew. Fuck off. Get the fuck off. And they're like, what?
What
get
are
the
we
fuck
doing?
off. Yeah. Get away from that. You know? And it's obviously that chick is not here for you. It's you know what I mean? She's paid to be here.
The fucking entitlement. It's just, I don't know. No one is. These dudes, I feel like no one's ever told them no in their entire lives. Because they always seem like completely shocked when somebody like pushes back against them. Yeah. What? We're not doing anything, even though they clearly were being obnoxious.
They would see they'd see some chick like that. They think they can make a move on that. No.
Good luck.
Good luck. Okay, you better be a fucking big name from some kind of band or something.
It's just, I don't know what they're thinking, man. It's just kind of like...
Being captain of the team ain't gonna help with that.
Yeah, she's like, captain of the what ball? The what ball team now? We don't give a shit about that. The who? The what? I didn't even know what pickleball was until like literally 2 days ago. And the only reason I knew was because at work we were doing some big job and the place had a pickleball court. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to look that shit up. What the fuck is that? Like, I hear everybody talking about it. I didn't even know what it was. Yeah. Because I don't give a shit about sports at all. And I don't know anything about it. So, and that's not going to change ever. Because I'm just never going to care. Never going to care. But, yeah. Let me see. Tammy's talking about, Camp Guy said, does she have an agent? Oh, I don't know.
Probably.
She probably does. She gets, like, a lot of gigs. Yeah. Tammy says, are these people drunk? Possibly, but a lot of times I don't think so. They don't seem drunk. Some of them absolutely do.
They're not more drunk than us.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, it's all kind of like I'm like, well, you're obviously not as drunk as I am right now. And it's like, you know, and I'm pretty drunk, but you don't seem drunk at all to me. So they're just assholes. Ben says, maybe they're dancing inside. Yeah, it's Tammy says, I was just wondering because I've never been on a dance floor with somebody just standing there. Yeah, some of them do. Like, yeah, because this happened at iBar too. Like, it was usually like people that were in groups, and they would go out in the middle of the dance floor, and like sometimes they would kind of like half-assedly like dance for a second, but then they would just like stand there talking. I'm like, bitches, there's a whole fucking club. There's benches and chairs. There's all kind of places. There's a bar. You can go sit there on the stools.
These are girls that do that, mostly. They do not come from a dance club or nightclub background, so they don't dance. So they assume nobody else dances either.
Friends don't dance, and if they don't dance,
if they don't dance, so they assume no one else dances either. So they go onto the dance floor really to be looked at. Yeah. Wow, look, we're here. Wow, look at me. The thing is, that happens early in the night before people have really started dancing. Yeah. So they think it's going to be like that all night. No, people that actually show up, especially people that have been in the scene for a long time, start to show up. They start to outnumber them. Well, they got to get them off the dance floor. You can't just stand at the dance floor.
Yeah, we usually just kind of... We're not, like, super... I don't know if we would say we're not super obnoxious about it, because sometimes you have to be.
Sometimes you have to be.
But a lot of times we try to subtly...
Yeah, got to get the fuck out of here.
Muscle them off. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just kind of, like, taking up a lot of room, and it's just like, la la la, coming over here.
And it's not... I don't want to say it's not about being a dick. It's because people are come there to dance. You can't take up the dance floor.
That's what I mean.
Not, you know,
it's like they're being a dick from my perspective, because they're taking up room that they really don't need to be taking up. Mm-hmm. Because it's like there's lots of other places they could stand and hang out and do whatever with their stupid friends.
They're standing on the dance floor, watching the dance floor. Right. If you want to watch a dance floor, stand off the dance floor and watch it.
There's all kind of room.
Everybody,
all kind of room. Yeah. Go over there. Like I said, people are trying to... And goths take dancing very seriously, okay? Yeah. It's like that's the whole reason they go.
It's like that's their workout.
That's the whole reason they go. The whole reason they go is to listen to the music and dance. Yeah. They don't give a shit about patting fake butts on the thing. They don't give a shit about, like, woo, and
taking
like,
pictures.
Look at me, and, like, taking pictures. And, like, look at this freaky place I'm at. Like, we don't do any of that kind of shit.
There's pictures of us on our Facebooks and shit. Mostly, those are pictures taken by other people. Yeah, that they send us. We don't really take pictures.
I don't even take
pictures of us.
I don't even take my phone in the club. Here's another thing. I thought this was funny too. Like I don't like carrying a purse ever. Like you got to, because you got to carry your shit with you.
Sheehan's got some cool purses. Have you seen them? You're getting a new purse.
Well, I mean,
they got some gothic purses there.
Yeah,
fucking cool
I
shit.
just bought a new wallet because my other one was falling apart.
They got smaller purses that wallet could go into that you could actually wear. Little coffin purses, little fucking satanic little purses with crosses and shit on the outside of them and spikes.
Yeah, mine's got skulls and spikes
little
on
bat
it,
purses and stuff. There's things that you could actually carry that and wear that purse and not look like a big bag hanging off of you.
I mean, the purse I have now is not huge, but it's still, kind of a pain. Like I said, I don't really like carrying shit just in general. And especially if I'm going out drinking and dancing and stuff like that, I don't want to be encumbered. So what I usually do, at Mannequins or at Barbarella, I feel better about it because it's, there's everybody, we know everybody there, and it's, the parking lot, there's nobody like walking around. I usually just leave my purse, including my phone, in the trunk. Yeah. And I thought it was very funny because last time we went to Mannequins, which was last Friday or whatever, and I put my, we park in the lot, but there's like a big dirt lot like next to Mannequins where most people park. You can park along the street, like all along, but we don't ever do that. We always park in the dirt lot behind the club. And so,
he's going, he says, you look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dave.
I think he says he's leaving.
Oh, okay. Have fun.
Yeah.
Beat up some normies for us.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I mean, if they deserve it. But yeah, so I put my purse in the trunk as per usual. And then we walked around to the club, and one of Tom's biker buddies was there. And he said, oh, she knows what's up, putting her fucking purse in the trunk. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? That's because that's what you do. You're going there to dance. Yeah. You don't need a purse. Because otherwise, you're just going to be like I said, you're going to be like one of those chicks that's just like, hey, let's all hop up and down in a circle and put all our purses in the middle. Man, we used to like fucking laugh at the girls at iBar doing that.
Can't do that in Latin culture. Couldn't do that in Brazil. Only a hooker puts her purse on the floor.
Why would you put your purse on the floor, especially in a nightclub? Yeah. Gross.
Yep, only a hooker.
I don't even like to put my purse, and like I'm not squeamish about germs or anything like that, but it's like I don't even like to put anything on the floor in any bathroom anywhere, like even my own bathroom, and I know that that's relatively clean, so I don't like to put anything on the floor. So I'm definitely not going to put anything on the floor because I was like, do you know how fucking dirty that floor is? Gross. Pick that shit up. You know what I mean? But yeah, so I don't even take my purse in the club anymore because it's just, I don't know, it just got to be too much of a pain in the ass to like haul around everywhere. It's not heavy or anything, it's just a pain. And it's another thing to forget. Yeah. And I don't ever need my phone because it's just kind of like, I'm not going to take pictures in there, it's too dark. And it's like, you see people just in there like just on their phone the whole time, and I'm just like, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. I'm going to go listen to music and dance and like hang out with people. I don't want to be on the phone.
Okay, so you guys saw the fans. What else is going on?
I don't know. Our neighbors are having
a party out there.
They do that like every Friday. Like they started a little bit later than usual because usually by the time I get home on Friday evening, they've usually already got the music going. And it's really loud.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all can hear it. Probably not. I can kind of hear it. And I can hear a bunch of them out there just go, woo!
Yeah.
Woo! And they always play kind of shitty music, too.
Yeah.
But, what are you going to do? Most people that blast music like that, it's gonna be shitty music. Nobody ever blasts good music.
No.
Like, I don't think I've ever... Have you ever, like, heard of anybody, like, blasting actually good music?
No.
I can't think of a single instance. Every time somebody goes by in the car, like, blaring the fucking shit, I'm always like, I'm always, like, so disappointed. One day, I would just like to pass a car where all the windows are open and there's blaring music and it's, like, something really, really good. And I'm just, like, epic. But it never happens.
I saw people in my Facebook feed posting memes lately of fucking fucked up facial reactions. This is me listening to new music on the radio. Fucking that kind of shit. Evidently, like, new music fucking sucks. I went to every time we would go down to fucking Koi Wan, they'd be playing pop music, and I'm like, man, people listen to this shit? No talent. Remember that shit we were listening to? We're like, what the fuck is this?
Well, yeah, I hear some of that. I hear some of that at work too.
Just like, and like that's supposed to be pop music. It's terrible. It's
to be fair, I've always hated pop music.
Yeah, most of it was bad. Even back in even in the 80s, most of the shit is bad.
Yeah,
you forgot about that.
Yeah, it was terrible.
But the shit that they're doing now, it's like weird versions of rap But those dudes can't rap. They can't rap. They sound like shit. They can't sing.
Well, everything's kind of...
It's computer-generated music in the back of it sucks. And it's just, there's no taste in it at all. You're like, that's fucking terrible. I mean, I can go back to fucking the 2000s, and they still had some pretty good, like, pop rap, you know? But it's all standards are gone now. All standards are gone. Fucking, it's just shit. Total terrible.
Well, a lot of the pop music is like auto-tuned.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not even really like, it started out as a real person's voice, presumably.
Yeah.
But then it went through all of these crazy filters.
Well, there's probably no money in it anymore.
I imagine probably not.
Yeah.
One thing I did notice about a lot of, and like I said, this is not, I don't want to be one of those, like I said, one of those old people. It's like, back in my day, it was like, everything was better, blah, blah, blah. Because there was a lot of shitty music back in the 80s, too, not going to lie. But one thing I did notice about, like, some of the newer pop music is just how repetitive it is.
It's repetitive, yeah. And
they just kind of, like, repeat the same line over and over. I'm like, okay, we get it. Yeah. We got it. Thanks. Yeah.
That's really don't. Thing.
You really don't have to say it more than twice.
And you're like, whoever wrote this shit has no musical training. They have no musical training. And it was rap that I was listening to, and I was like, they don't even know rap. Okay? Like, if this is supposed to be rap, this is like the fucking garbage rap, you know? Real rap was fucking Public Enemy, or NWA. And you could go even before that, they had good rap. You know what I mean? Fucking, what was the... Shit, I'm trying to think of the real old rap, man. Fucking back in the fucking late 70s, early 80s. What was that motherfucker's name?
Oh shit, now I can't remember either.
Yeah. Rap
yeah.
Was, it didn't matter. Rap was a homemade thing, you know what I mean? It was like a do-it-yourself, but those guys cared about the craft, and the shit sounded good. They had good musical influences. So they knew the rules, so they knew how to break the rules. But it would still sound good.
That's what my art teacher always said.
Yeah, you got to know the rules before you can break the rules.
You have to know the rules before you can break the rules, or it doesn't work out for you.
It doesn't work out. Some of this new rap, they don't know the rules. They never even heard even like LL Cool J or anything, or fucking they never even heard classic rap. Never fucking, man. Bushwick Bill, Mind's playing tricks on me. They had a lot of good rap acts back in the day. Although, look, man, the best rap act, I wasn't big into rap, but I was more into metal and goth. But there was some good rap out there, and it didn't make it. All right, I've recommended it to a couple people before. You can find it free on YouTube. It was a band called New Kingdom.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying about that.
New Kingdom was really good, and fucking. The name of the album was, I think it's called Paradise Don't Come Cheap, I think is what it was called. I think it's what it's called. And it was Southwest Desert Rap.
Which I feel like is a little explored subgenre. Yeah.
And it had kind of a Mad Max vibe to it. And they were talking about Jimi Hendrix and fucking growing up seeing Jimi Hendrix on a poster with a horse and his hat and his holster. Fucking, it's just good rap, you know what I mean? And I knew when he said that, he said he was a little kid in the garage and he saw that his brother's poster, and it immediately clicked with me because when I was a little boy, my friend's older brothers, I didn't have an older brother, my friend's older brothers had that poster, and I immediately knew where that dude was coming from. Yeah, that poster. I know that fucking poster. And then he's talking about he's going to be down in the Southwest desert fucking, you know, surviving in the sun and the cactus and fucking taking LSD and driving the jalopy fucking south of the border into Mexico and fucking Mexico or bust, you know. It was just great fucking lyrics. And artistically, New Kingdom was a fantastic rap band, but commercially it didn't make it. It was too experimental. You know, the closest thing to it later on would have been Cypress Hill. But those guys were Hispanic and white guys. These were black dudes out of New Kingdom. They were real good. And they were well known for, I think they ended up in other rap acts, the guys from New Kingdom, I think. But I encourage you to listen to that album. It's really good. It's like rap and psychedelic, which is, what the fuck is that? But there's like a Jimi Hendrix influence.
Which, like I said, I feel like that's like... a subgenre that needs to be like expanded upon more.
There's harmonica happening in rap music. And
and like you were saying before, I kind of feel like I don't know, and I feel this is true of like a lot of things, and it's like the reason that I'm into. It's kind of the same thing that happened with punk, right? I mean, you had, punk rock that came out in like the mid to late 70s, and it was very homemade. Like, these were people that were pressing their own records, they were starting their own labels, they had shitty equipment, but they just made do with what they had. But there was something, but they had like a lot of energy, and they, obviously were passionate about what they were doing, and it came through like in the music, even if it wasn't like perfect sounding or anything like that. But then I feel like later on, the shit got picked up by, more of like in the 90s, like kind of a pop punk kind of aesthetic, and I wasn't into that. It was just, it's too slick. I don't really like music that's too slick. I don't like movies that are too slick. It just loses something to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It loses its underground kind of fucking exclusivity.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked...
Corporations get involved, and commercial aspects get involved, and it starts to sound too polished and too pure and too much like a product.
And I don't really like that. I don't really like that. And I'm not saying that I haven't liked some... Because, some of the, like, the new wave and shit like that came out in the 80s was very slick and produced and stuff, and I liked some of that. But it's like, normally, most of my favorite music was pretty... lo-fi, I guess, or wasn't like overproduced.
That's the album I'm talking about. It's called New Kingdom, Paradise Don't Come Cheap. Listen to that album. People in there talking about their favorite rap bands. Go ahead and read it off, Jen.
Where are you looking?
They're down in here.
Juan's talking about Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, Coolio.
Yeah, I remember those guys. Yeah, they were good.
And I always liked Ice-T. I always liked that he had. I always liked that he had a hardcore band too called Body Count.
Yeah, Body Count was good.
I actually went and saw them live in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Body Count was good. It
got in the mosh pit and everything.
Yeah, it had kind of like a punk rock influence to it.
Yeah, which I thought that was really cool. Well, because
metal had a metal.
Well, Ice-T and Henry Rollins were buds.
Yeah.
So there was all that kind of stuff. Black Flag, there's another good band. But yeah.
And then there was Biz Markie. Remember him?
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, he was good.
He's dead now, right?
I think so. But those guys, that generation, late 80s through the 90s, they had character. You know what I mean? The corporations hadn't really taken over yet. So they're kind of doing their own thing, and it wasn't uniformed. They could do their own thing. There was... some of the shit kind of started going trip hop, too.
Which some of that's okay.
Yeah,
I don't mind some of that.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. I'm always going to prefer something that was the product of, people that actually, whether it's music or a movie or whatever, like that was just a product of a few people, like their vision, and they doing what they want to do, other than having like some bigger corporation take it over and like smooth out all the edges and like make it more palatable to a wider audience. Fuck that. I don't like that. Because the more you try to appeal, if you try to appeal to more people, like to me it becomes less appealing, because it just becomes kind of, and even like I said, it might still be good, it might still be entertaining, but it's just not, it's not forgettable. It's not going to stick.
Run DMC was like that. They were good, but they had mainstream appeal, and they kind of watered down. But the quality was all right, though. Remember Run DMC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course I remember.
They were like that.
I was around the same time as you were around.
Yeah. I didn't know if you remember those guys, though.
Yeah, of course I remember.
Okay.
I remember all of that shit happening. Actually, it's funny because I remember...
Who got it good, though, was Beastie Boys. I thought they sucked when they first appeared. But then as they went, they got more advanced, and they got weirder. They
were one band that actually kind of got better.
They got better
as they went.
Yeah.
Some of their early shit is fine, but
it was just basic.
It was very like juvenile and very like amateurish.
But then it started to get more sophisticated. They're talking about going into outer space and shit, and fucking it was weird. What was that one? I guess that was fucking 96 or 97. Fuck. Man, what was the name of it? It had a music video and everything. Intergalactic.
Oh,
remember Intergalactic?
Yeah. I remember that.
They started to get real good.
Mikester says, Cool Mo D. Yeah, I remember that too.
Remember him, yeah.
I remember, like, you remember in the 90s, it seemed like there was a massive thing. Maybe it was like the late 80s, I feel like, too. Like late 80s, early 90s. There was a massive big deal, like in the alternative scene, of crossover between hip-hop and punk.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that going on. So there was like a lot of collaborations between like punk bands and hip-hop bands.
Hip-hop and goth happened. Guess who that was? The last Switchblade Symphony album.
Yeah.
Tea and Jam for Francis?
Francis, yeah.
For Francis. If you listen to the fucking music, that's all trip-hop and hip-hop happening in the back with goth female lyrics over the front. It was good. I liked that album. But that was like a dance album.
I don't think I had that one, actually.
That's a good one. You had Tea and Jam for Francis.
Yeah. I remember hearing about it. I just don't think I bought it.
That was rap and goth happening at the same time.
I feel like every genre of music has been crossbred with every other genre of music at this point. So it's like you can't even... Remember I said, I think I mentioned this like a while back, but somebody, like the guy at work who like is kind of like the DJ, you know what I mean? He has this one playlist, and it's like, I don't know, I think it's irritating, but it's called Y'alternative, and it's basically like a country band covering 90s alt-rock.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like, it was funny for like 2 minutes, and then I was like, okay, this is getting old.
What about Dred Zeppelin? You ever heard them?
Yeah.
They were funny.
They were funny.
You explained to them what Dred Zeppelin was.
Oh my god.
It was Elvis.
It was Elvis and Led Zeppelin, like a crossover.
No, Elvis singing reggae Led Zeppelin.
Yeah. And it was like, wasn't the dude that was the lead singer, he was like it was almost like...
He was a fat Elvis.
He was like a big fat Elvis.
He was a fat
like he had
Mexican
a big...
Elvis.
Yeah, that's
and he called himself Tortelvis.
That's right.
Yeah,
Tortelvis.
Tortelvis, yeah.
I remember that. Holy shit, I hadn't thought about Dred Zeppelin in a really long time. I remember seeing them on 120 Minutes a lot of times back in the day. That's so funny. But yeah, so Y'alternative. So now they have like country versions of... But I have to say, and even given some perspective on it, I think I've said this many times, I'm not a fan of the 90s, man. I just wasn't. And I wasn't at the time, and I said, well, maybe when I get older and it's like I can look back, because the 90s was like a long time ago now. But it's like now, even when I like listen to music from the 90s, I'm like, nope, still don't like it. I still don't like it. It's just, I don't know what it is. Well, no, I know what it is. I think that the 90s, particularly 1991, and I'm going to blame Nirvana for this, but, because when Nevermind came out and everybody lost their fucking shit over it, and then suddenly alternative music was like the hip new thing, and it's like everybody got into it, and then there was the whole grunge thing happened, and then I was just I was just not a fan of it. And some of the shit is good. Like I'm saying, like Nirvana was good. I had some of those albums. I had Bleach, I had Nevermind, I had a couple of those. I had, what was the one that came after that? I don't even remember. But I had that one too. I had like some Soundgarden and shit like that, but and Screaming Trees and all that, and Tad. I actually quite like Tad. But, so I liked some of that Seattle shit, but it's like, I don't know, after a while it just started sounding really samey, and then it was kind of like, now every time you say alternative, that's what it means now. Like, and prior to that, that word was just like an umbrella term for just like anything. Like, anything that was like too weird to be like on the radio or whatever. So it's just encompassed a lot of different subgenres, whereas like after Nirvana happened and they got super famous, I feel like, alt rock, now that's like a subgenre of its own, and it usually means that grungy 90s Soundgarden-y kind of situation. You know what I mean? And I don't know, I just wasn't like a really big fan of it. Honestly, I was like right around, I feel like I had watched 120 Minutes, which was MTV's like alternative music show, which used to be really, really good. And it used to be on Sunday nights, and it was always on at midnight. So it was on from midnight to 2 a.m. And then prior to that, they would always show like the Young Ones. They showed like a lot of weird British comedies, like the Young Ones and the Comic Strip. And then they had Liquid Television and shit like that. So it's like, so I would always stay up and watch it, and I used to always tape it. Like I had like tons of fucking tapes of all this. So I had like fuck tons of just really awesome like videos and stuff for years and years. But then like after 91, 92, I just stopped watching it because it just seemed like they were playing the same shit during the day that they were playing on that show. It's like, oh, we're going to see Soundgarden and the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I'm like, big fucking deal. Like we see that during the day. The whole reason for watching 120 Minutes was that they would show shit that they wouldn't show on MTV like during the day. You would see shit that you wouldn't see on there at any other time. And so I was like, it's kind of pointless having this show if you're just going to show the same shit that you're showing in the daytime that everybody knows now. So I just kind of lost interest. So I feel like I stopped buying a lot of records too, like after about 1992, maybe 1994. Because I know I still have like some stuff from the early 90s. But I don't know, I just stopped buying as much music. Because I didn't like it as much. There was just something about the 90s that just pissed me off. I don't know what it was. And it still does. It still does. And I'm not saying there wasn't good shit that came out in the 90s, because there was. There was actually like a lot of really good goth rock in the 90s. Yeah. Like I really liked Corpus Delicti, who were French, Rosetta Stone. I really liked all that kind of stuff that were more like old school gothic rock, like they were Sisters of Mercy. Dieform, I really liked them.
Switchblade Symphony, I think, was also.
Yeah, there was a lot of good shit that came out. The Shroud.
Yeah.
They were great. I'm trying to think. There was tons of other bands that came out in the 90s that were really good. But it's like, I don't know. There was also, I didn't really like the direction. I don't know. I didn't love the direction away from, because like I said, I'm more of like a death rock girl. Like I like that kind of shit more. And it's like, so when it starts going too industrial or like too ethereal, I'm just kind of like, dude,
I liked ethereal.
I'm checking out. Some of it's good. Some of it's good.
These people don't know what we're talking about, probably.
But you know what I mean. Some of it's good.
Yeah.
I got a new drink.
Thank you. We're getting some thumbs up. Got 13 of them.
Are we really?
Yeah.
Have we got any new comments in a while? Because I feel like
we're
the last comment.
We're putting them to sleep. Look at Pookie. Pookie, you gonna tear the books up again?
She's gonna tear the books up.
Yeah,
again.
Look. She's reaching in.
Like I said, that's why I put like the old ones at the bottom. She's like, "What? I'm not doing anything."
She complains when you tell her no.
Brr. Yeah. She's fucking hilarious. Yeah. John Gore said Lush was a nice band. Yes, I agree. I actually really did. I really did like Lush. Yeah. I had that one album. What the fuck was the name of that? Gala? Was that the name of it? I have that somewhere.
They had a 90s goth kind of etheric industrial female band called Wench. Remember Wench?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I vaguely remember that. Like I said, I'm not saying that there wasn't good shit that came out in the 90s. There was good movies that came out in the 90s. There was good. Well, I mean, we've talked about some of them, right? Yeah. But there was good music that came out in the 90s. But I don't know. There was something like the mainstream culture of the 90s. I didn't like the fact that punk and alternative and stuff got mainstreamed like to a large extent in the 90s, and I didn't like. I feel like the 90s, the overarching zeitgeist of that decade was just like extreme. Yeah. And I hated that. I'm like, that is the stupidest shit ever. Everybody's got like the blonde tips, and it's like everybody's doing fucking extreme sports, and I'm like, fuck that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my god.
Extreme cheese.
Yeah, everything had to be like over the top and like
over the top fucking cheese.
Oh my god. I was like, knock it off.
Yeah.
That's kind of stuff just really gets on my nerves. And if you want to see a movie that encapsulates everything I hated about the 90s, please watch the Vanilla Ice movie, Cool as Ice. And you will see what I'm talking about. To me, that is the most 90s thing ever created. That movie. But please watch the Riff Tracks version, because watching it without that, the Riff Tracks version is great. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
But it's like watching it without that. I was watching the Riff Tracks one, and I'm like, oh my god, I was cringing, and I was just like, I can't imagine watching this without.
I'm convinced that movie ruined fucking his career. I think that movie ruined his career.
And rightly so.
Yeah. Because
it was awful. What was he thinking?
When he first appeared, he had that Ice Ice Baby fucking song. It was a huge hit.
That he ripped off from
fucking
Under Pressure.
Under Pressure, yeah. Although I think they did all that under license and shit.
They did, but I'm just saying, still.
And people were like, "Who is this dude?" Well, when that movie came out, it answered questions of who that dude was. He was fake. He's a fake. Everything about that dude was fake. He was just something made by an industry. He was Frankenstein. And they tried to propel that dude into stardom. I feel bad for the guy. I don't think he had any creative control over anything that he did.
No, probably not.
He was just an actor, basically. And that's what they hired him to do.
I wouldn't say he was an actor. I've seen that movie.
Yeah. That's not what I meant.
I know, but I'm just saying.
He was just some dude that they hired to do that. Because I remember he tried to... Once that movie came out, his shit fucking fell apart. And he tried to reinvent himself. He even tried to do metal, I think.
Yeah, didn't he?
Yeah,
yeah, I think I kind of remember.
He just tried to become relevant, but he went Milli Vanilli, basically. You know? Once they realized that that's not a real artist. All right? He's just an artificial construction. He was seen as a fraud, you know. You're never gonna complete. You know, like when Milli Vanilli, when they were fucking found out that those dudes didn't sing that shit, they were lip syncing. They tried to come out with real music. Nobody wanted to hear them.
Yeah, it's like.
I think one of them committed suicide, didn't he?
I think he might have. Now I feel kind of bad. But yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, people don't really like. I mean, look, people like some shitty music. Okay, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying people don't really like to be deceived. And the fact that whoever sang the Milli Vanilli songs, they wouldn't put them on camera because why? They were fat or they weren't
fat.
Good looking enough or whatever it was.
Yeah.
You know, so they're like, oh, well, we'll get these two models to like pretend that they're singing.
Yeah.
And it's like people don't really like to be fooled like that, even with something like as insignificant as stupid pop music. You know,
people took that shit seriously. They thought that those were real. That those guys were a real phenomenon. No, you can't. Very rare that you get two dudes that look like that can dance that well, and look like models, can sing that well. That doesn't usually happen. That usually doesn't happen all in the same person. And if it does, you're a phenomenon. You know,
you're a unicorn.
You're a unicorn. So they were selling this unicorn to the public. No, it was all just a fake construction. You know. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
That'll fly in Japan. In Japan, they love fake shit like that. You know, oh, that's fine. But in the United States, people didn't consider artists and bands to be real unless they came up through club scenes and fucking playing live music in bars and putting their time in, you know, starting off at the bottom, you know. That's what made you a band. Duran was like that. People think that Duran appeared out of nowhere. No, they were a fucking club band. They
played at the Rum Runner in Birmingham.
Yeah, and that was them. Okay, they really did look like that, and they really could play like that.
They hung out with Steve Strange and all that.
Now, they had a team of people helping them write things and produce things and to do things the right way, but fucking Duran, the members of that band had a lot of control over what...
Well, they could actually play.
They could actually play.
Write their own songs.
And they actually were good-looking guys, good-looking British guys, and they could sing, and they could play instruments. It was another era. It was back when England was fucking cranking them guys out. It was part of their fucking... The music education and theater education was a part of their fucking national industry.
Well, so, I don't know if you know this, but Simon Le Bon was he was actually a child actor. He was in some commercials and stuff. And, and he sang in a choir as a boy. So yeah. So like I said, he didn't, and like you said, they came up in the New Romantic club scene in Birmingham.
You know, they knew all the punk rockers, you know, before them, and they hung out in fucking seedy clubs, and they were poor, and they dreamed of living the high life. That's part of the New Romantic scene.
We want to have a yacht.
Yeah, and that was part of the New Romantic scene, is to like eschew. Is that what you call it?
I think it's eschew.
Eschew poverty, because they were already poor. They didn't want to be poor. They wanted to get rid of that. They wanted to be rich boys.
Nobody wants to be poor.
Nobody wants to be poor.
It sucks.
So they dressed above their station and walked around like they were fucking rich. They faked it until they made it.
Well, another thing...
And that was part of the New Romantic scene,
Well, the New Romantic movement, it was a response to punk, because punk was very much... I don't want to say punk was not necessarily like glorifying poverty, but it was basically dealing with the realities of poverty, and it wasn't trying to like maintain... It wasn't trying to make yourself like bigger than you were, more than you were. You're like, look, this is just what we are. We're broke. You know, we don't have any fucking shit. And like, you know, so it was kind of like embracing that. Where I feel like New Romantic was kind of more like, no, we want to be better. We want to be more than that. So it's like, we want to wear Lord Byron shirts, and we want to be rich, and we want to do this and
drink champagne on a yacht with supermodels.
Right. So, you know, and it worked out for them. Yeah. For sure.
Well, they had the guys from Duran had the right combination. First of all, they all looked great, and they were all talented.
Yeah, they were all good looking. Isn't that crazy? Like five good, because usually there's like one ugly one, but not so much. Not so much with Duran. They were all good looking.
And a lot of the boy bands that came after that, they were aping Duran Duran. They were artificially trying to generate that, and you can't. Those dudes were all buddies before they fucking started. That's the way they looked, and they just all happened to be good looking, and they were all talented. And that's because that act was forged in the club scene first. Okay, nature had selected that. Okay, so by the time they showed up in the American fucking system of the record companies, they had already gone through natural selection.
Yeah, trial by fire.
Trial by fire. So they were like, "No, this is us. Fuck y'all. Yeah, step aside. Okay, yeah, give us a team. We'll make this a big ass show." When they hit the United States, me and Jen remember it. We were kids. That was like the second coming of the Beatles.
Oh, big time.
Yeah, there was just nothing like it.
Holy shit.
They were amazing.
Yeah.
They were amazing.
Those videos, man.
Yeah. When Planet Earth hit, Planet Earth, Night Boat, all that shit was being played on KROQ out California.
It was on MTV too in '81.
They were playing in Mississippi. And I'd go from summer in Mississippi to go visit my dad. And all the little redneck kids are listening to fucking Planet Earth.
Yeah.
And fucking Night Boat.
That's still a great song, I'm sorry.
And fucking, yeah. And
I love Night Boat. I feel like that's an underrated Duran Duran song.
And they all had that album. Okay? So,
and the video is like a zombie movie.
and MTV was out.
Yeah.
And cable TV was coming out. And I told you earlier on if you guys are long-time followers of the show, that was the end. That was the death. The beginning of the end of Southern culture as kind of like a self-contained unit. Southern kids are like, oh man, there's cool shit outside of the South, man. Listen, we need to go to some of these places. Oh man, I want clothes like that. Look at how that dude fucking talks. You know what I mean? It's just so. It started.
You couldn't stay on the fucking farm anymore.
Yeah. After that. Well, in a way, it kind of watered down the culture, but it was for the better. You know, had a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and everybody my age that I grew up with, visiting down in Laurel, Mississippi, none of them live there anymore. They're in Florida, Tennessee, Louisiana, Texas. They don't stay in Mississippi. There's nothing there, not enough industry. But their ancestors had been there for generations. You know what I mean? You got to look at it that way. The families that they came from were there for 200 years, maybe 100 years, 150 maybe. It's just that's how altering, culturally shocking cable TV was to the South.
Well, particularly MTV.
Yeah.
Well,
MTV,
and honestly, MTV started when I was 9, and we had it from the beginning because my dad worked for Cablevision, so we got it for free. So a lot of people didn't get it until later, but we actually got it kind of early. And I had always been a weird kid. I was always into creepy shit. Like, I was into the Addams Family and ghost stories and shit like that. So, and I was always really shy and bookish. So, kids would pick on me and shit like that. But, I didn't really realize until the advent of MTV, I think, when I was 9 or 10, that there were other people like me that liked creepy shit. Yeah. And like that revelation kind of blew my mind because I thought it was just me. I thought I was just like this lone weirdo hanging out in like fucking Daytona Beach,
Nowadays we talk about the impacts of the internet and social media. Yeah, that was a fucking big change. Jen and I lived through that. But you youngsters don't understand how big cable was. How that changed a lot.
It did, yeah.
That changed a lot of shit because now you're in the middle of nowhere and you have access to things on the other side of the fucking planet. Like, okay, the first time I had ever heard of heavy metal, I was in Mississippi. And it was a dude named Daryl. Yeah, Daryl was his name, I think. No, Dalrymple was his last name. What was his first name? Eddie. Eddie Dalrymple was the guy's name. He showed me the fucking weirdest thing I had ever seen. It was the cover of the Peace of Mind album from Iron Maiden. That was the fucking weirdest thing I had ever seen. I was, man, wow, what the fuck is that? And he put that album on and I fucking loved it. And then he showed me the album that came before it, Number of the Beast. And that was the first time I had ever heard metal. I'd heard it in the background, but didn't really know much about it. And I was like, yeah, this shit here, this is for me. And then I ended up liking metal after that. You fucking got the Killers album, and then the first album, Iron Maiden, and then later on, fucking when fucking Power Slave came out, that shit was good too. But they started to go down to hill after that. Fucking Metallica started to whip that ass.
Yeah, well,
what's that?
A lot of bands do start going
yeah
down. Not all of them, but
poor Iron Maiden, they never really could maintain that fucking fire, that spark. They didn't, because that Seventh Son album came out. I was like, Somewhere in Time was okay, but it was kind of commercial. It just didn't sound as hard as Metallica did. You know what I mean? When Metallica came out, the United States started to whip that ass, and then we started to get into fucking Judas Priest, and started looking at British metal. You know, and America didn't have a good response to metal until Metallica came out, and then Slayer. Man, they were good too, man. Fucking.
Yeah,
Tom Araya, I think he was from Chile too.
He was the weird thing is that I remember when I was in junior high, there was a big rivalry between the metal kids and the new wave kids.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, that's sad because we were all weirdos and outcasts, and we all got picked on by the other people. So it's like you'd think we would join forces, and that actually did happen later on, like in high school.
Yeah.
But when I was in junior high, if you were in a new wave, like the metal kids would pick on you also.
Yeah. I kind of straddled the border.
Yeah, you liked both things,
I liked them
which
both.
was unusual.
By the time I got into like 11th grade and in my senior year, I was already into girls and dating and fucking getting laid and shit. New wave made a lot more sense to you once you're starting getting into girls. Fucking, there's something about metal. Metal is too male dominated. It's too much serving the boyish fantasy, but it's just fantasy, okay?
Yeah.
New wave is about fucking real shit, getting laid, relationships and shit. Metal has nothing to do with getting relationships.
Or nuclear war. A lot of new wave
songs
there's
some of the
nuclear war.
Metal didn't have a sense of humor most of the time. Anthrax had a little
I think that was why I didn't really get into it. Like, I like some metal, I'm not saying I don't, but it's like, it just seemed a little too...
all serious, and sometimes it would fucking...
It was just too earnest, and it came across as really dorky.
Yeah, sometimes very dorky. Well, the pinnacle of that is Canadian metal known as Anvil.
Well, yeah.
Anvil is fucking dorky as shit. But they're cringy.
That documentary about them is like simultaneously the greatest thing and the most embarrassing thing that I've ever watched. I felt so bad for them, and yet at the same time, I just wanted to punch every one of them in the face. I've never really felt those conflicting emotions like that before. But it's like, it's a great documentary, by the way. What's it called? It's just called This Is Anvil or something like that. We watched it a long time ago. But it's like, I kind of want to see it again, but I kind of don't. You know what I mean? I felt so bad for those guys, but then in another way, I was just like, oh my God, would you please just get a clue? John Gora said MTV was pretty raw when it first came out. It was exciting. Yeah. Yeah, well, the thing about it, what ended up happening with MTV is that shit that was being played on the radio in 1981, when MTV started, was mostly kind of like still 70s, like classic rock, what they would nowadays call classic rock or prog rock or whatever. So they were still like playing mostly that on the radio. They weren't really playing any new wave on the radio, except for a couple stations like here and there. So MTV, they ended up playing a lot of new wave. I don't even think they meant to do it. It was just that the new wave bands were kind of, looking ahead, and they were the ones making videos. They were the ones making content. And so MTV were like, okay, well, we have all these bands that are making videos, but they're all like new wave bands pretty much. Like a lot of the older bands were not making videos because it wasn't just something that you did, because it was they were kind of like old school bands, and this was a new medium essentially. So they weren't making them. So they ended up playing like a lot of new wave. And I think that was pretty much what introduced new wave to. And I don't know, I mean, a lot of those songs were really popular and did eventually get radio play. But I feel like a lot of, still in the 80s, a lot of the music was still holdover, or was still kind of like classic rock and stuff, because I remember like a lot of new wave from the 80s like being played on the radio, but I also remember a lot of stuff like John Cougar Mellencamp, or who was just called John Cougar back then, or Dire Straits, or Asia, shit like that. Like so a lot of that stuff was kind of like holdover, like dad rock kind of shit. was
What's
still
funny
being
is
played.
that I was listening to new wave before metal, because when we were in military school out in California, we were listening to KRLQ a lot, and it was like Thomas Dolby, Adamant. You know what I mean? I knew about all that. The early Duran Duran, that shit was great. I didn't hear metal until later, but I got into that. So you could say that I started off as new wave, but then got into metal and then went back to it.
Yeah.
But I liked all that shit side by side. You know
Which, like I said, that was unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the people that I knew liked either one or the other. And it was like a big rivalry. At least when I was in junior high, that was like a big fucking rivalry. Between
For some reason,
new
I
wave kids
kind of
and
thought
the
the
metal
new
kids.
wave at first was like kid music, and then I would moved up into metal. That was manly shit. And like,
This is manly
then
shit.
like two years later, I'm like, nah, that fucking Duran Duran was right. I remember I got that Notorious album. I was in Brazil.
That was
at that
87
time.
that came
87.
out. Yeah.
Got that
I remember
Notorious
buying
album,
it
and
on
that shit
vinyl.
was just fucking speaking to me. That was my senior year of fucking high school up in Brazil, in Sao Paulo, and it was just having a fucking time of my life in the nightclubs, because you're in Brazil. I was old enough to go to nightclubs, take taxis everywhere, and have girlfriends. You know, and you couldn't do that in the United States. You couldn't go fucking to a nightclub and drink. So
Not at that age.
I was always kind of privileged, I guess. But yeah, and like I was kind of living the lyrics of that album, at least from my point of view, because I was popular, you know, popular than Brazilian girls. I had a girlfriend at the time. Her name was Norier. I would dig her up, see what she's doing. She'd be fucking 50 by now.
Camp Guy's talking about, well, yeah, we're all the same age.
Yeah, we're all the same age,
And,
yeah.
and I'm 50, so.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll be 51 in September.
Yeah.
Camp Guy's talking about Peter Gabriel and his good videos. Yeah, he had like some awesome
he
videos.
was
Like
good.
I think Sledgehammer came out in 86?
Yeah.
I think. 'Cause I had that album, which
Got
I
that.
think was called So.
Got
And
that.
that came out in, I'm pretty sure Sledgehammer came out in 86.
He had shit out before then that was good, too. He had a lot of stuff that was good.
My favorite Peter Gabriel song is probably Red Rain.
Yeah. I think I know what it is. Peter
He
Gabriel.
did some Games Without Frontiers.
Yeah. Games Without Frontiers.
That's a great fucking song. Ooh, I should put that on my Spotify playlist
Yeah.
now that I think about it. It used to be
He
on my
kind
old
of had
one.
a soft image, but people didn't realize that dude was fucking. He had a fucking. He was a long-time junkie. He was fucking on heroin a lot of times, and fucking. And he was
Weren't they all back then?
He was
I kinda
singing
feel
about
like.
his drug problem. You know, he was kind of rough. You know,
Yeah, well.
you're not dealing with Phil Collins. You know, Gabriel was fucking. He was street dude. You know.
Studio.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Phil
that was like
Collins.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins was great, but my only douchebag's fucking.
Why do you
Love that
think
guy.
there's that whole joke in American Psycho about
Yeah.
him and the Huey Lewis thing?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like Huey Lewis,
Yeah. Yeah.
Genesis,
Yeah.
like all those people that were into that kind of
Yeah.
music, especially back then.
Yeah, it was vanilla.
It
as
was a
fuck.
certain type of people.
They were just vanilla as fuck. There
Right.
was nothing wrong with them. It's just that they were just super vanilla, super normie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you knew what you were gonna get.
Yeah.
Like as soon as they
Real
said,
conformist.
as soon as they said what their musical preferences.
That was
were.
very safe music. Very, very
Yeah.
safe music.
I
Huey
still,
Lewis in the news.
I still love that scene in American Psycho
Yeah.
though, where he's going off about fucking Huey Lewis before he axes that dude. It's the best. It's like it's so fucking funny.
I remember I used to like the Jay Giles band. Remember them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they
I
were
used
all
to
over the radio.
skate to them
Yeah.
at the skating rink. They would play centerfold all the time.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Go back and listen to it. There's not a
I
lot to
still
it.
know the fucking words to
Yeah.
that fucking shit. Well, see, that's what happens. Like,
Yeah.
the music that you grew up with, even songs that I didn't even like at the time, like back in the 80s, I still know every single fucking word to that shit.
Yeah.
Because it was like, it was ubiquitous.
Yeah, it was everywhere.
And like I said, when you were a kid, you know, every weekend you go to the skating rink because that's what you did in the 80s. Like, your parents would drop you off and you'd go get a hot dog and you'd skate around with your fucking leg warmers and your little lover boy shit with the feathers on it. And you'd kind of like, you know, and then what I was trying to think of, like all the shit that they would play at the skating rink. Yeah, they definitely play centerfold a lot. That was a popular
frame.
one. Freeze frame, yeah, that was the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah.
Mr. Roboto by Styx.
Oh, I remember that shit.
Which actually I heard today, like, because somebody played it at work.
Well, that was another vanilla ass band.
Yeah.
It was
Come sail away. Come sail away.
There's something about.
See, I know all the I know all of the songs.
Yeah, it's just a vanilla ass.
I mean,
band.
you can't not know them.
Yeah.
And they did play some Blondie though, so that was something.
Yeah.
But it's like I'm trying to think of like what else they would play all the time.
Vanilla
I don't understand. I don't think they played. Did they
like
play
ELO was some vanilla ass shit.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
My dad used to play that. What's that ELO song?
Boston.
Don't bring me down. Don't bring me down. My dad used to play that in the car all the time when I was a kid.
Boston was vanilla.
He loved that fucking song.
Boston. They were fucking good. It was good quality music. All right, but it was just vanilla as shit too. I remember that.
Well, like I said, they don't call it dad rock for nothing.
Yeah, it's like your dad.
Well, and that's what's funny about it is like that's exactly like when my dad would be playing it in the car. And my dad likes some good music too. Like he got me into the Beatles when I was like really little. But
the pinnacle of fucking style and taste for dad rock, I fucking love the band, is Steely Dan. Steely Dan is the shit.
I admit I like Steely.
Steely Dan is really good.
I like Steely.
That is the Pink Floyd of fucking dad music.
Of dad rock.
Yeah, they're real good.
Well, actually,
it's genius lyrics. And
Yeah.
they're singing about losers to losers because you're a loser. And I fucking love that shit.
We're all losers.
The romance of being a loser. Fucking, and of having it all and losing it. And fucking wasting your life away and shit. Because you suck, you know. But it's all real kind of pretty.
Yeah.
You would never know that that's what he's talking about. Yeah, you know, it's just Donald Fagen. And I liked Donald Fagen's solo stuff. It was good too. Like
Yeah.
the Nightfly album that he had,
Yeah.
that was really good. It had New Frontier in it.
Yeah, I remember you playing that for me
Yeah.
before.
Yeah, he was good.
There's also something called yacht rock, which I think that's kind of like I'm thinking like Air Supply, that kind of shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know that kind of
Yeah,
music.
that's shit that your mom and your dad would listen to.
Yeah. That's shit that, well, you hear that a lot in Florida because, like, if you go to any, like, seafood restaurant that's, like, on a river and you sit out on the fucking...
You're going to hear that shit.
You're going to sit out on the patio and get a bucket of crab legs or something like that. That's the music that's going to be played.
Real wild.
Either that or it's going to be Jimmy Buffett.
You're going to get real wild and they put on Rod Stewart. It's going to get real fucking wild with his ass.
You know what the best thing about Rod Stewart is? The fact that Revolting Cocks covered Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Yeah.
Which is great. I love the Revolting Cocks cover of that song.
Was that hair real? I don't think it was.
I don't know.
I think it was a wig.
I don't know. Camp Guy said Shock the Monkey is supposedly about couples jealousy. Yeah. Oh my god, I never thought about it. I love Shock the Monkey. That's a great song. And that was a great video, too. And that was, like, one of the videos I think that stood out a lot in the early days of MTV. It's funny, like I said, because at work today, like, the guy that, like, DJs everything, he likes all kind of music, so he'll play, like, all different kind of stuff. But he did, like, an 80s playlist, like, this afternoon. And he played The Buggles, Video Killed the Radio Star. And the other woman in the office, who is 55, so she's 5 years older than me. And she's like, oh, this is what started it all. And, like, I thought he didn't know what she was talking about for a second, but he's like, oh, MTV, right? And I was like, hey, he knew what she was talking about. Yeah, that was the first video that was played on MTV. But I still kind of like that song, too. I like a lot of that cheesy 80s new wave, like a lot of those quote-unquote one-hit wonders, like Pop Music by M. I fucking love that song. I love that song. Like, if it comes on at the bar, I'm dancing. I don't give a shit. I don't have to be drunk or anything. Camp Guy says, B-52's gals love those beehive hairdos. Yeah, they had a whole aesthetic, man. And actually, Fred Schneider, he was friends with the owner of iBar, now Barbarella. And so every time he was in town, we would always see him at iBar. Like, he would always come there, like, on Saturday nights. And it was funny because he didn't come there a lot, but it's like every time they were in town, it'd be like, oh, it's Fred Schneider. Hey, what's up, man? So it's like, it was funny that he was just, like, always there, and everybody was like, hey, it's Fred Schneider. So, you know. I was saying how Fred Schneider used to come in, like, iBar all the time from the B-52s.
Oh, yeah.
Because he was friends with...
Yeah, he'd come in there all the time. I wouldn't recognize him. I never recognized him.
The only other famous person we saw in there was Voltaire.
Yeah, I recognized him.
Aurelio Voltaire. Well, he's kind of hard not to recognize.
It's a friend of mine's ex.
He has a very distinctive look. Yeah. Although we know this other guy, I can't remember what his name is, but we know this other guy who goes to mannequins and Barbarella all the time who looks a lot like Voltaire, but except much, much younger, because Voltaire is like 50-something.
He's my age.
Yeah, he's like 55-something.
Less. 53, 54, something like that.
Yeah. He's got, if you guys haven't, he has a great YouTube channel called Gothic Homemaking. Yeah. It's him and his fiance, whose name is Mayumi. She's a Japanese girl. And they do the fucking cutest fucking videos. Like, they'll do, like, they decorate their house, or they go, like, shopping for Halloween decorations, or they'll go to, like, another city and, like, go to all the cool bars and shit like that, and they're just, like, it's adorable. They're adorable.
Cam guy's talking about how awesome Steely Dan was. You're fucking right. I'm a huge Steely Dan fan. I'll talk shit about it. I'll talk shit about that kind of music. But Donald Fagen was a man of perfection, all right? And fucking everything they did was musical perfection. They were fucking super good. Another old band, a dad rock band, that I started to get into a little more recently, going back and listening to Hall & Oates. They were good.
Yeah, I didn't like them at the time.
At the time, I was like,
meh.
It's overplayed, you know what I mean? You go back and listen to it, Hall & Oates was really good. Although, they're, you know, not on the level of Steely Dan. Steely Dan was like I said, they were like the Pink Floyd of dad rock.
What you got there?
Real smooth jazz, real good lyrics.
Okay.
She brought you some toilet paper? Is that toilet paper?
No, it's tissue paper.
Packing paper?
Where'd she get that from? Did she get out of the box with my shoes? Out of the box with the shoes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pookie.
Yeah, thank you.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Probably not, because I hope she didn't open that box and tear my shoes up. I put them back in the... I got new shoes, and I put them back in the box because she loves
she'll tear them up.
To tear shoes up.
Yeah.
She's very destructive. She can't help it. That's just how she does. Wait, I got backed up. Okay, wait. Victor says, Your Love by The Outfield is my all-time favorite song. That's a pretty good song. I remember that. I graduated in 1999, so 9 years behind me. But for some reason, it was really popular in my friend group. Yeah, because that song, when did that come out? 85? 85, 86? Your Love by The Outfield? You'd know it if you heard it. But, maybe later. Was it later? I thought it was like 85 or 86, but maybe it was later than that. It's all a blur. Trey says, wow, hey guys, long story, but I had a wild day. Bottom line, my mom has severe dementia. Oh, shit. And I had to pick her up somewhere, which caused her to freak out and ended with the cops showing up. Holy fucking shit. Man. Oh my god. I'm sorry you had to deal with that, man. That's a bummer.
Camp guy's going on about fucking Steely Dan. I got another Steely Dan fan in there. Yeah.
Steely Dan are a good band. Like I said, we've talked about this before. Like, the older you get, the more you can, like, appreciate stuff.
Yeah.
Although, I will say Pookie, stop it. I will say that sometimes I hear music from back then. Because, like I said, the guy at work, like, plays all... So we hear all kind of music, like, from the 50s to now. And so... Or, actually, earlier, from the 40s to now. And sometimes, like, they'll play some stuff from the 80s or, you know, some pop music from the 80s or some shit from the 90s or something like that. And I'm just like, nope, still don't like it. I still don't like it. But some things, like you said, like Hall & Oates and stuff like that, which I really did not like at the time.
Yeah, I listened to it at least, and I was like, man, it's good.
Because it was like pop music, and I wasn't really into that. Like, you heard it everywhere, and I was just like, okay, like, knock it off now. But hearing it now, where it's not like in your face every 5 seconds, like a lot of the songs are actually.
Private Eyes was good. Rich Girl. There was a bunch of them that I fucking listened to I guess it was a couple months ago, and I was like, man, this shit is fucking good, man. And it's just you don't hear that kind of music anymore.
Well, you know what's crazy though is that, and I don't know if
Stop this is. Leave it. Look what she did. She pulled that book out.
Yeah, she likes.
Where are you trying to go? You think she's trying to make a? She's trying to make a hole so she can go somewhere. There is no other Narnia over there.
She thinks
Narnia
it's
is not
Cady
over there. No.
But one thing I've noticed, and maybe this is just, you know, the guy at work, maybe this is just his taste, but there seems like a whole subgenre of bands or musicians that are covering 80s songs, but like in different styles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he has this one playlist that's kind of like I don't even know how to describe it really, but it's kind of like lo-fi or loungy. But they do like a lot of 80s songs. Like for a second, you don't even know what song it is until like they start singing. And they actually do a really good version. What's that Billy Joel song that's like traded in as something for a Cadillac? What is that song called? You Ought to Know or whatever. I don't remember what it's called. But that song.
I know the song, but I can't
I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, they do a cover of that, and they do they do like a lot of 80s songs and stuff, and they're actually like pretty good. But like I said, you don't realize that it's that song until like they kind of start until they kind of start singing. And it's just funny that a lot of kind of like more modern artists, I guess, are going back and like doing reimaginings
of those songs,
of 80s songs.
Oh yeah, John's, he brought up Man Eater. Yeah, that Man Eater is the one that started me on going back and listening to Hall & Oates.
I like Man Eater.
I was playing that fucking Metal Gear game, and in that game it unlocked that song. It started playing Man Eater, and it kept playing it over. I'm playing, I guess, Snake Plissken, and fucking Man Eater's going, and I'm like, man, that's just tight. So I go back on YouTube and start listening to the whole fucking I forgot how fucking good that shit was. Or it didn't stand out back then. And we were hearing it on lo-fi single speaker mono fucking radios. You really couldn't hear it that well with the old radios of the 80s. But when you hear what they did, you're like going, it was good. It was good. And you could reimagine those songs and re-release them in a more of a modern kind of format. They'd be hits. They were good, real good.
Yeah, okay. Like I said, there's a lot of bands that are doing that, like, and they're reinterpreting them in lots of different styles. You know what I mean? You know what? I don't even know what genre it's called, but that genre with like that's like really kind of quiet and whispery, like that kind of, like I said, like indie lo-fi kind of thing. Like there's a whole bunch of bands doing 80s songs in that style. Well, and I know that I know this because we're in the goth scene and everything, but there's like new goth bands that are doing goth versions of old 80s songs. Yeah. Like there's a whole subgenre of that. And in fact, on my Spotify, I have a whole bunch of, A Starry Night covered Voices Carry, which is great. Yeah,
they got a good cover of it.
And who was it that did? I think it was Sleep Thief, who are kind of more. They're not really a goth band, but I guess they're kind of more trip hoppy end. But they did a great cover of Duran Duran's "The Chauffeur," and they also did a really great cover of "The Metro" by Berlin. And I have like all of this shit, and like I can't remember what band it was, but I have another one on my Spotify where they did a cover of I Ran, the Flock of Seagull song, like crossbred with Sunglasses at Night, the Corey Hart song.
Yeah, I mentioned it to you a long time ago. Well, it wasn't a long time ago, maybe about a year ago. My first wife had a tribute album of goth bands doing Dead Can Dance covers.
I had a bunch of those. I didn't have the Dead Can Dance one.
Man, it was good.
I had one called Goth Oddity that was all goth bands doing David Bowie songs.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And then
you think you could find the one where they were doing all the fucking Dead Can Dance covers?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, try to find that.
There's a lot of those, because I feel like a lot of those came out in the 90s and 2000s.
Yeah.
Like goth bands covering other...
Ubiquitous Mr. Lovegrove. They had fucking all the fucking shit off of Within the Realm of a Dying Sun album. They had that. And they were doing fucking goth bands. Some of them like almost like death rock bands doing covers of fucking Dead Can Dance. You guys know who Dead Can Dance is? Dead Can Dance is a kind of like an ambient gothic band.
A little bit of a world music vibe,
depending on what year. Right. As it went on, it became world music. It's almost kind of like the Pink Floyd of goth music. It's sophisticated, a lot of wind instruments and violins and shit. They had like real classical instrument people doing it, and it was just this spooky goth music. And then it started to go, like she said, world music with drums, and it sounded kind of like African, or it might be like Middle Eastern sounding. You never really knew where they were going to go. Fucking Peter Murphy, who is like the lead singer of Bauhaus, once got into a fight with him online and fucking said they were nothing but selling musical tourism. They started... And then fucking Dead Can Dance was saying, well, we need to talk about all your medical problems. And he was like, I'll sue you. What they were talking about is fucking drug addiction.
I didn't know this until today, but he has actually had at least one heart attack. He had a heart attack back in 2018.
Yeah, well, fuck him.
He's on tour now, I think, but I think that he had another one.
Yeah.
Like recently.
He ain't gonna live long.
The thing about it, like I said, he can, I was gonna say, he can really talk, but because he did that album Dust. Yeah. But in his defense, he is actually married to a Turkish woman and has lived in Ankara for I don't even know how long, and he speaks Turkish and everything. Yeah. So.
Evidently he's got a castle. They said. He's got a Turkish castle.
I don't know. His wife is, what is her name?
She's some kind of dancer. Wasn't she a choreographer?
That's her name. Yeah.
Behan. Yeah.
They met on. You remember the video for Final Solution?
Yeah.
Which was a cover. That was a cover of a Perubu song, I think. But that came out in 85. And you remember that video, and it had like a bunch of like male dancers, like ballet dancers and stuff. And the choreographer on that video was her.
Okay, yeah.
And that's when they met. So they met in 85, and then they married not too long after that.
Yeah.
And they've been married since then, like for a long time.
Yeah. Peter Murphy was a fucking great artist, all right, and wrote good lyrics. He was fucking in his early days. He did a lot of fucking great shit. Unfortunately, he declined over the years. A lot of it had to do with him fucking around with a girl that we know. No, I was kidding. But no, like...
It's not her fault.
Yeah. A girl me and Jen used to hang out with fucking was seeing him. All right. And yeah,
whenever he would come through town.
Yeah. And yeah, he was married.
Would hook up.
And they would hook up and they would talk online and shit. I ain't going to mention any names. Well, yeah, I think we already mentioned the name. Sonia. Sonia was a girl that kind of like... Me and Jen kind of dated her in a way. She was just a friend of ours.
Yeah.
Good looking.
We had a little weird threesome going.
Yeah, we had a threesome going for a while. She and it
like
was
not exactly, but sort of.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It was a weird triangle happening.
Yeah.
She was like a frenemy of Jen. She did like you, but it's just not in her nature to be number two. She had to be number one, so she constantly had to fuck with you, and that was one of the reasons.
Yeah, she constantly has to do like passive aggressive.
Passive aggression.
She would always you would make a comment, and this I've known a lot of girls like this. Yeah. Not a lot of girls, but I have known some girls like this where they'll be friends with you, quote unquote, but it's like everything out of their mouth is like some kind of backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like that.
Yeah.
Like they're always trying to make you belittle you so they can be better.
But what was funny is that it was obvious.
Yeah, I would really obvious.
And I would chuckle. And Jim would what the fuck is that? And I'm like, she's threatened by you. Fucking, it was just
obviously
funny. It was just
funny. Like I said, I don't do that shit. I'm just kind of I'm very much what you see is what you get.
Yeah.
I don't really put on any airs, or I don't try to pretend to be something I'm not. I'm just not good at that. And I don't really like people that are like that. And so the fact that she was kind of like that, but the fact it was funny because she would always say shit not about me. I'm sure she said shit behind my back because she did about everybody else. But
that was also kind of part of her shtick. Almost,
yeah, it's everybody knew that she was like that, and they'd be like, "Oh, there she goes again." You know what I mean? Nobody took it seriously.
No matter what she said, nobody took the shit seriously.
Because they're just "Oh, she's just being that way."
Yeah.
She would say shit about another friend of ours. It's what a fat ass she had, and we're just you're just mad because
laughing.
You don't have an ass because she has a much nicer ass than you.
That's us. That's us right there. Jen in the blue hair.
Oh, and that's Andy.
And that's Andy.
That's Andy.
Yeah.
Andy, we still see pretty much every week at Mannequins. Her and her fiance.
Yeah.
Her fiance.
But yeah, she was just constantly talking shit. She was funny.
And she's older than us.
Yeah, she's older than us. But anyway, she was fucking around with Peter Murphy.
Yeah.
And letting everybody know.
Well, of course.
And getting Peter Murphy.
She was a Peter Murphy super fan.
Yeah, and then getting Peter Murphy in trouble with his wife. There's all kinds of shit that happened.
It was all kind of drama.
And then we go to see him live, and she's trying to get up on stage with him, and fucking Peter Murphy fucking stomping on her get out of here. It is hilarious, man.
Oh my god. I had like
hilarious.
him, yeah, because
remember that shit?
Yeah, years ago we went to a Peter Murphy show. Like we went with Sonia.
Yeah.
I've seen Peter Murphy probably like.
Yeah.
Well, I've seen him more than I've seen anybody else. I've probably seen him like 10, 11 times.
Yeah.
And but one show, like the three of us went.
Yeah.
And we were right in the front. Where was it at? It was at.
That was House of Blues.
It was maybe House of Blues. Yeah.
I think it was House of Blues.
It was either House of Blues or it was what the fuck is that place that's not open anymore that we saw the Genitorturers at?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
There she is right
Firestone.
there. That's all of us right there.
And that's Jason.
That's Jason. That's me in the middle and Jen up against me, and then that's Sonia right there. Sonia was pretty. She was cool. She was cool. She was just fucking crazy. And the bitch only weighed about 80 pounds. Tiny, and 10 pounds of it was implants.
Tiny.
Yeah, tiny.
Well, she was tiny short, too.
Tiny,
she was only like
short,
4'11" or something.
Skinny, big implants.
Yeah.
I got a picture of her. She's up on a box dancing at Firestone. Remember? They had her up there as a go-go dancer.
Yeah, that's right.
And you're up there cheering her on. That was a cute picture.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, I got it. I'm gonna show it. We're in
Man,
the crowd.
You got all the pictures.
Yeah, I got it. I'll find it.
I didn't even remember we still had
that.
that.
I got fucking pictures blast from the past.
Because
this is a long time ago. This is what?
Well, we haven't seen her.
10 years, maybe.
When was the last time we saw her?
Well, she went back to her husband.
Yeah.
So that was probably 7 years ago.
Well, we were talking about her. Me and Jen and Dimitri were talking about her a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, her daughter has got to be a fucking teenager
by now. Yeah, her daughter's
a
teenager by now, yeah.
Because the last
She's
time,
like 16
well, not
or 17.
the last time we saw her, but her and her daughter came to our house for Christmas one year. And that was probably like 10, 11 years ago, something like that. And it's like, her daughter was, I think, 6 at the time. So I said, shit, yeah, she's probably like 16, 17. She's probably fucking driving, which is crazy. That's crazy.
I'm trying to find that picture.
Daniel says Paradise Lost covered the song Xavier by Dead Can Dance.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Xavier is a good song.
I feel like there were, especially like I said, in the 90s and 2000s, there was like a whole rash of tribute albums, and particularly like tribute albums of goth bands doing tributes to other goth or goth adjacent bands. Because like there was a tribute to Sisters of Mercy, there's a tribute to Dead Can Dance, there was a Tones on Tail one, there was a Love and Rockets one. I had the Bauhaus one. There was who the fuck was on that shit? It was a bunch of bands doing Bauhaus songs, and a lot of them were, I'm not gonna lie, were not great, but some of them were good. The Shroud actually covered Passion of Lovers, and that was actually quite awesome. But you know, other than that, I'm just like, I'll just listen to Bauhaus, thanks. But you know, they tried. But I did like the one that I had that was goth bands doing David Bowie songs.
Yeah.
Like, most of those were pretty awesome. I really liked
Well, it's kind of easy to cover a fucking David Bowie songs because the writing is so good from the original song.
And I feel like a shit ton of goth bands have covered Time, at least.
Yeah.
Roz Williams did a cover of that.
Yeah.
Cinema Strange did a cover of it. Like, a bunch of other, like, goth bands have covered that song.
I got so many of these little fucking albums.
Trey says, I would sell my soul for a night with Terry Nunn from Berlin.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her in forever.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while. I remember her being really beautiful, but I haven't seen her in a long time. She was beautiful back in the day. I remember she had that... Remember, they did that song for Top Gun, right? Take My Breath Away?
Yeah.
And I remember she had that great hair that was like two-tone.
Yeah.
They had that video that was on MTV all the time. Back whenever Top Gun came out. 85? I guess. Everything was 1985. Trey says, man, those 90s Cleopatra Records tribute LPs were mostly horrid.
yeah. Matter of fact, it was a Cleopatra album.
Yeah, they all were. They all were.
That I'm looking for.
I liked the David Bowie one. But like I said, I had the Bauhaus one, and because I remember it had like a one of those weird like 3D covers that you could kind of go like that. And I think they used a still from Nosferatu. I still have it somewhere. I just don't remember where it's at. Yeah. But the only song that I remember being good on there was the Shroud one, and I already liked the Shroud. The other ones were just like, they just weren't as good as the originals. I kind of like the trend nowadays of like new goth bands covering like 80s new wave songs, because that's not necessarily a goth song. like the way Bauhaus songs were. But so you can kind of like goth it up. It's the same reason that I like Death in Rome, because they take songs that are not really goth songs.
Yeah.
Like Love is a Battlefield, for example, and like do like they do almost like a gothy, like Dead Can Dance kind of version of it, and it actually works out really well. They did Careless Whispers, they did Take On Me.
Okay, I couldn't find that photo of her up on the box, but I did find this old fucking
man.
Remember how long ago?
This is old.
This is before me and Jen were actually a couple, and that's actually me and Sonia.
And that's at
I was friends
venue
with
13. I think.
I was friends with Sonia before I was actually friends with Jen.
Yeah. Yeah, you knew her before I met you.
Yeah. That was me with blonde hair.
Yeah, you had blonde hair back in the day.
Yeah.
She had I think that she was like super into you. Like y'all never dated, but she had a whole I used to laugh because she had a whole
she thought she owned me.
She had a whole photo album on her Facebook that was called Tom and So.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I used to think that was so funny because I'm like, you guys are like not even dating.
I didn't even know that. No, well, no, we weren't dating. We were friends.
Yeah, I mean,
we
y'all
messed around.
Yeah,
but then that didn't go anywhere because see, she was always like kind of aloof and hard to get.
Yeah.
All right, so it was kind of the same thing. And then when I started going out with Jenny, she got jealous.
Yeah, she got mad.
So she had to get in there somehow. All right, that's how that shit.
Yeah, she had to like encroach.
Yeah, and they were even though, like I said, that she.
I like Sonia.
They were friends.
Because I know
she was just weird about the way her shit was.
But the thing about it is that I know where it's coming from, so it doesn't bother me as much as it maybe would have otherwise. Because I know what her deal is, and I'm just like I don't know. I just know where she's coming from, so it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? Even though I don't usually like that kind of thing, but she's coming from a place of, I don't know. I guess like real insecurity, and she has like a thing where, I guess a lot of people have this, where if you're insecure about something, you kind of like exteriorize it and like just cut other people down to like make yourself feel better. You know what I mean? But you know. It's like so transparent when she does it that it's like you almost can't be mad. You know what I mean? Trey said, "What is that on Tom's shirt?" In the picture, I'm not really sure. Actually, I'd have to see it again because I didn't look at it all that close. That was an old ass picture. Like I said, that was either before I met him or right around the time that I met him. Although, I think I did know him at that time because when I met him, I think I met him in 2009 or 2010, and I'm pretty sure he had black hair because I remember when he bleached it, but I didn't know him that well. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't hanging out, really. Like, I'd know him enough to be like, oh, hey, dude. You know what I mean? But it wasn't like, right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'll ask him when he gets back. But yeah, I don't know. We were just talking about her the other day.
Yeah.
Because, well, I don't know if I want to say why, but because something came up with Dimitri and Jen. Yeah. Trey asked what that was on your shirt.
Me?
Like now or in the photo?
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
If it's this.
What's that on top? Yeah, it's something Jen made.
This is actually a goth festival.
Yeah.
That's in Tampa every year.
Yeah.
It's usually 2 or 3 days. We made this shirt. I made this logo. And they usually have like a whole shit ton of bands that play there. We usually go every year because we get them free because I design all their shit. So we go, if a Starry Night is playing, which they usually are, we go and see it. Like, you know, Corrine played there.
Yeah, I love Corrine.
Who the fuck
It's
else?
a church window.
Bellwether Syndicate.
It's a cathedral window with a shadow of a cross on it, right there. A moon with bats, and then it's got the fucking horizon with like graves, and it says absolution.
Yeah, Absolution Fest.
Yeah.
They do it every year in Tampa, usually in October. It's usually in early October, and it's usually... I think it started out as 3 days. I don't know if it's 2... I think it's 3 days.
Trey,
yeah,
if you want
it's
one,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Want one, just contact us directly, and I'll make you one. Depending on whatever shirt... we can get it to you for probably about $25.
I'm trying to think of all the... I did... Because I already got all the teaser stuff for this year's. And I'm trying to think of the bands that are playing there. But you can't, like, get too invested in it because as the time goes on, because they keep like, oh, we can't come now and blah, blah, blah. But it's, like, usually a Starry Night are there. Sometimes Corrine are there. Other bands, like Push Button Press, like I said, Bellwether Syndicate. I'm trying to think of,
made
like,
this
some
one for
other
me.
ones.
It's the only one I've done on this shirt. I would have put this a little bit higher next time, I think. And the production shirt on the back has all the list of the bands playing.
Of the year.
But that was designed for a shirt with sleeves on it.
Yeah.
Okay. And we don't have the back because the back changes every year. It's got the front.
Yeah, we just keep... Because the logo mostly stays the same.
Yeah.
But they sometimes, like, change the colors up and stuff. But yeah, the back changes every year because all the different bands. And it's just kind of like we've been doing it for 3 years, 4 years. When did they start doing Absolution? We've been doing it since the beginning.
3 years, maybe.
But it's been like 3 or 4 years.
Okay, he says he'll contact us soon. All right, man. Yeah, I'll make you one.
But it's like, I remember last year, it was like a big... Yeah, it was last year, wasn't it? Yeah. We got like in a big, huge crunch because like there was this whole... Like, some of the bands had to cancel, and then other ones got added on, like, at the last fucking minute, and we had to, like, fucking reprint the shirts, and it was down to, like, the last hour or something like that, and I had to come home and, like, do all these fucking shirts, and it was just, like, it was a whole thing.
We were going crazy.
We were going crazy.
To get that shit done.
To get it done. Yeah. But we did it.
Thinking about getting that machine to do the multicolor.
Yeah, we maybe should invest in that, because we can kind of expand
because we've lost some jobs because we can't do multicolor.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we just started doing it, like, for you guys, like, so we could do white ink on black.
Yeah, and we started getting offers from
but yeah,
clubs
then,
and bands.
Right, and they're just like, hey, can you do shirts for us? And it's like, we only need, like, 50 or 100 or something like that. And I'm just
I keep going, like, and it's got to be 2 color. It's got to be 2 color. It's got to be 3 color.
And I'm just like, damn it.
So you only do 1 color.
Yeah. Maybe we should get that machine.
Yeah.
How much is it?
Under 100, about 100 something.
Well, that's not bad.
It's got like a little carousel. You got to set it all up.
Yeah, I mean, if it would be worth it, that might be something we might invest in. But just because, like I said, we've had offers to do stuff, and we just didn't do it because I was like, that'd be too complicated.
If we put it out through the channels that we can do 4 color or even 5 color, we'd get a bunch of responses back. Okay, I need this and that, need that, because they all want black shirts with white and red. On it.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's the main thing that they're going to want is white and red. Camp Guy said, small batch numbers are attractive to some small businesses. Yeah, because a lot of bigger companies are going to make you order... Well, they're going to make you order like a minimum amount. You know what I mean? Now, it's a pain in the ass because, like I said, for the Absolution one, we didn't do a fuck ton. I think we just did 100, but... It was just us doing them by hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we had to, like, shoot the screens, and then we had to, like, literally go through, and then we had to, like, dry each one with a fucking hairdryer and shit like that. So it took a really long time.
Okay, we've been streaming for longer than 2 hours.
Okay.
We probably ought to go ahead and shut it down. Send us some super chats, and we'll talk for longer. But if not, we're going to have to shut it down.
Or give me a suggestion for a movie that we should do for Sunday. A horror movie. I want to do more horror. Especially if it's on Shudder or Amazon Prime or HBO Max or Hulu. I have all of those. So if you have anything that you'd like I said, I have a couple of ideas if nobody comes up with anything. But like depending on whether you want to do something old or something new, I can do either thing. I don't really care. So we'll see. Because I have to look for some shit that you would like to.
Look up.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because you're picky. Yeah, Camp Guy said most big art producers and t-shirt producers want to sell you a bunch of shirts, 200 to 300. Yeah. Trey said, y'all done Dark Night of the Scarecrow yet? Yes. Well, okay. I don't remember if we both did it or if I just did it. But I know either we both did it or I've just done it.
Since it's on YouTube.
Yeah. Did we both watch that, or was it just me?
I never heard of it.
Okay, so maybe I just did it then. Yeah, Trey said, wait, you did, I think. Yeah, I'm 99% sure I did Dark Knight of the Scarecrow. But I don't remember if we both did it or if I just did it by myself. Because I do a lot of movie and book reviews by myself.
I don't remember that one. Dark Knight. Oh, no, I do remember that.
Okay, maybe we did do it.
I think we did do that. Remember didn't they keep coming up on a scarecrow out in the woods at night, and then it was killing people? And then they had a fake scarecrow that wasn't the scarecrow. I just remember a scene like that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we did see that.
Yeah, so maybe we both did. Maybe we both did it then. But I'm pretty sure...
They all start to blur together over a while, man.
Well, we've seen so many.
Seen so many of them.
We've seen so many.
And I didn't see those at a young age where they'd make a real strong impression. When you get older, the impression it makes on you isn't quite as much.
It just takes more...
Multiple viewings of it for it to...
It takes more for it to really, hit you in the face. Because you've seen so much, which is kind of sucky. I don't like it. I don't like being older and, shit having to be,
Yeah.
That's one thing that sucks about being older is that nothing makes as much of an impression as it used to. Or something has to be really extraordinary,
right,
to make an impression.
It starts to become very samey.
Yeah, which, like I said, but I still see a lot of good shit though.
I got that. Are you hungry?
Yeah, a little bit.
Because I got that curry down there marinating. I can make some of that if you want.
Oh, you gonna make curry?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Shut it down.
It's Friday night, man.
Shut it down. They ain't paying us.
I don't have to go to bed.
Okay. Let's go.
I mean, I probably will just fall asleep, but you know what I mean? I don't have to go to bed if I don't want to.
Alrighty.
I'm an adult.
Alright, I'm going to get on.
All right. So, thank you guys for dropping by this evening and talking about a bunch of bullshit like we always do on Friday night. This is probably my favorite show to do because it's just fun and kind of off the cuff, and I kind of like that because I don't have to worry about research or anything. So, yeah. So, I'm not really sure what movie we're going to do. Like I said, it could be a new one because I have some ideas about some newer ones on Shudder that have been recommended that maybe I want to see. If not, we might do some old ones. Because HBO Max has, some older Stephen King ones that we haven't covered. So, we might do that, Silver Bullet or Thinner or something like that. So, we might do one of those. But we'll see. So it'll be a surprise for you guys, and it'll be a surprise for us also. So, yeah, have a good rest of your evening, you guys. And have a good day tomorrow. And we will see you guys again on Sunday talking about a mystery movie. So, yeah, we'll see you guys then.